I, who'd been buried for 7 days, suddenly snapped my eyes open and ran right into a bunch of fox spirits worshipping the Big Dipper to cultivate their lifespan. So I sat straight up in the coffin right away. You've been cold as a corpse for days. How the hell are you alive again? My brain was racing a mile a minute, and I spouted nonsense the second I opened my mouth. The king of hell had blurry eyes. He grabbed the wrong person and kicked me right back here. Actually, I'm a soul reborn in a dead body. I cultivated Taoism for 100 years in my past life, but finally failed the devil trial. I even worked 50 years in the underworld, just to get a chance to live again. But this body is totally wrecked. Qi and blood are almost exhausted. Yang fire is completely out. If I don't get some yang energy soon, I'll turn into a zombie the second the sun rises. I immediately started playing the pity card. Great Lord Fox Immortal, please do me a favor and lend me a ball of life fire for emergency, or I'll die the moment I see sunlight. No life fire means you're just a ghost. But this stuff is tied to your yang lifespan. We're not even the same species. No way, I'm not lending it. Fine, then I'll pay you for it. Wait, that's not right. I'm not pledging my dead fire to you. It's you lending me the fire. I give you money in return. Take this treasure. How about trading it for a little of your fire? This money has traveled both the mortal realm and the underworld. It's blessed with great karmic fate. This old fox really knows his stuff as expected. He rolled his eyes for a second and sniffed out a good opportunity. Sneaked over and took the money. Fine then. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda of merit. A wisp of life fire landed on the top of my head. My body warmed up right away. Even though I still felt a bit drafty, at least I could breathe now. I struck while the iron was hot. Once I recover fully, I'll definitely treat you to a whole chicken feast as a thank you. The old fox had taken the money, even though he was still a bit confused. The second he heard about eating chicken. Sure, but this single wisp of fire won't last long. You don't have any follow-up plan either. You'll still die later anyway. Wouldn't that mean I did all this for nothing? That was exactly the line I was waiting for. The way to fully come back to life had to come from him. I immediately acted all meek and humble. But I have you, don't I? Be a good guy and help me all the way. Can you teach me how to do it? Well, you definitely asked the right fox. Cough, cough. I'm just too kind-hearted. I'll teach you a trick today. Worship the Big Dipper to repay your life debt. But once I save you, don't you forget about my chickens? This is a secret Taoist art. How come a wild fox even knows this? I was secretly super confused. But I was super sweet when I spoke. Thanks for teaching me the method, Lord Fox. Forget chickens. I'll even offer a whole pig to you. The sun's about to rise. I'll do the ritual to get rid of your bad luck tomorrow night. Come with me first. The old fox glanced at the sky. I bowed respectfully to thank him. I did a quick divination in my head. This old fox is greedy for money, but he doesn't hurt people. Following him really is my only way to survive. He led me to a small, run-down roadside temple that looked like a public toilet. You hunker down here first. I'll pee around the place to set up a barrier. Never go outside during the day. And don't eat random stuff either. I was sweating like crazy right then. I couldn't even stand still. How would I have any appetite? The old fox was scared I'd kick the bucket, which would mess up the karma, so he asked hurriedly, "Got any more money? I can get you some more fire." Nope, I'm all out. I forced myself to sit cross-legged properly, locking all the yang energy tight inside my body. Go do your thing. I have a way to last till tomorrow night. The old fox saw I wouldn't die anytime soon, so he turned around and dug out a tattered quilt from the corner and threw it over me, then hurried back to his cave. The old lady got her head twisted off by a zombie and had her blood drunk. Hey, who are you cursing over there? That's a human. Sent back by the underworld. I lent him fire to transfer merit. Such a bad deal, such a bad deal. What if he dies anyway? He promised if it works out, he'll give us 10 roast chickens as a thank you gift. Oh, then it's fine. Oh! This guy is such a great, kind person. 10 chickens are enough for us to eat till the new year. You only ever think about eating. Hurry up and get down to real business. Go get 7 new oil lamps made this year in 7 bowls. Get a little of each type of coarse grain, and grab a bunch of incense sticks too. Remember, you have to pay for everything with money. If any of you dare steal and ruin our ritual power, you'll end up just like that fool bitten to death by a dog. Don't say I didn't warn you. All the foxes scattered at once. The old fox promised a whole pile of millet to bribe a sparrow that had gained spiritual powers and asked it to watch for any unusual movements from above. Meanwhile, I was taking advantage of this gap, lying in the Yang resurrection pose, with my palms pressed against the soles of my feet, clinging on to my last breath for dear life. Now that I get a second chance at life, I will never die like a loser again. This desolate wilderness has fox spirits, which means this place has spiritual energy. But this body is way too weak and run down. It won't recover at all without 3 to 5 years of recuperation. Cultivating on my own is way too slow. I need to find a helper to guard my practice. This old furry bastard in front of me is greedy for money. But she's not evil at heart. She has great potential. Why don't I just take her under my wing? Following the practices of shamanism, I can set up a spiritual altar and recruit some wild spirits to work for me. Time passed slowly in agony. Soon it was the witching hour at dusk. The borrowed life fire inside me was already on the verge of going out. I was so hungry my head was spinning. My stomach felt like it was being twisted into knots. Luckily, the foxes worked fast. They brought back greasy old lamps and chipped bowls in their mouths. The old fox transformed into an old lady. She waved her hand, and 7 full bowls of rice and beans appeared right in front of me. When the old fox saw I looked like a corpse, she started to panic. "Are you still alive? Don't pass out on me. You have to do this part yourself." "I won't die. As long as I'm still breathing, it's fine." "Later I'll help you bow to the Big Dipper. Repeat whatever I say word for word. You have to be completely sincere. We're snatching your life from the destiny god in the sky. Not a single mistake is allowed." Night fell. The lights in the abandoned temple flickered on and off. The old fox told the little foxes to trample down the weeds, so the starlight could shine through. The 7-star array was set up. Incense sticks were lit. When I smelled the raw rice, my stomach growled loudly. I almost reached out to grab a handful and eat it raw. This is because my ghost nature hasn't gone away yet. I'm still greedy for food. The old fox looked up at the cloudy sky and gritted her teeth. "We have to bow even if we can't see the stars." "Clouds can't block the stars' power." She held me up and began chanting in a high, thin voice, sounding just like a crying baby. This disciple sincerely worships the primordial power, pays respect to the Big Dipper, begs for protection of my life. "Please grant me 11,800 merits." I kowtowed along with her. The moment I bowed down, a cold wind suddenly blew all around. Countless dark shadows flooded towards the broken temple. My ears were filled with shrill ghost howls. "Get out of here! This body is mine!" "I'm Lin Yun. Give me back my body." This is the backlash from resurrecting in a borrowed body. All the wandering ghosts within dozens of miles smelled the scent and came. Everyone wants to take this chance to come back to life. The old fox's face dropped drastically. She clearly didn't expect the commotion to be this big. But there's no turning back now. If we stop now, none of us will survive. She bit the bullet and kept chanting the spell, desperately trying to keep the situation under control. The incense in the corner was burning extremely fast. It turned black and moldy in the blink of an eye, as if something had sucked all its energy dry. The little fox guarding the ritual screamed, stiffened all 4 legs, and fell straight to the ground, motionless. Right after that, the 2 candles at the temple entrance flickered out suddenly, and a wave of cold yin energy burst through the door. The cold air hit me straight in the face. It was a tall hanging ghost, almost 2 meters high. The second he stepped into the temple, frost started forming everywhere. The hanging ghost had a pale green face, a hemp rope tightened around his neck, his dead fish eyes staring straight at the old fox and me who were performing the ritual. The next second, an illusory hemp rope was about to loop around the old fox's neck. But the old fox reacted extremely fast, jumping nimbly out of the way. Then she immediately turned around, stopped worshipping the Big Dipper Lord, instead bowed straight down to me. Right now I was sitting cross-legged. In front of me were 3 bowls of uncooked rice with incense stuck in them. I looked just like a statue of a god. When the old fox bowed like this, it transferred a huge chunk of its life force straight to me. At that exact moment, my mind exploded with a loud boom. I actually sensed the golden statue in the Patriarch Temple that was worshipped by my past life's disciples. Although I failed at Taoism cultivation in my past life, my body was gilded and worshipped after I died, and received 50 years of incense offerings. Right now, through the cross-realm connection of the Big Dipper, The divine power of that golden statue actually crossed the yin and yang realms and protected my broken, weak body. Golden light burst out everywhere. The entire rundown temple was as bright as daytime. When the hanging ghost got burned by this pure Taoist golden light, it screeched and retreated outside. I didn't dare get distracted. Taking advantage of this momentum, I chanted the final spell in one breath. Great Sage Big Dipper 7 Lords can dispel all 3 major calamities, save all beings from evil and suffering, and deliver them from a life of misery. In an instant, all the dark clouds dispersed. The 7 stars hung high in the sky. All the heavy yin energy around me dissipated completely. My life fire reignited. A long-lost warm current flowed all through my body. My stiff blood vessels came back to life again. My heart was thumping loudly, each beat stronger than the last. That sound was literally the most beautiful melody in the world. The hanging ghost outside the temple saw it had lost the fight, glared at me viciously, then turned into a dark shadow and vanished. But I knew we'd officially got a feud going now. I opened my eyes and saw the old fox collapsed on the ground. She traded her own life force to save me, losing most of her 50 years of cultivated power. She couldn't even hold her human form, and directly reverted to her original fox form. The other foxes surrounded me and bared their teeth, obviously thinking I'd screwed their elder over badly. Calm down. I have a solution. I held down those spooked, angry foxes, using the spiritual power I'd just sensed earlier. I tapped my finger. A beam of golden light shot straight into the old fox's forehead. This golden light contained the perfected elixir power and incense divine sense from my past life cultivation. It was of extremely high quality. A tuft of orange-red fur instantly grew on the old fox's forehead. Not only did she regain all her lost power, she actually got a lucky break from this disaster. Her cultivated power jumped up to 80 years' worth. The old fox woke up with a jolt. She was stunned for a split second at first, then started dancing around excitedly, making weird little whining noises. The other 3 foxes also cheered along with her, running all around the temple. After a while, the old fox turned back into that short old lady, adjusted her clothes, and bowed to me very respectfully. Thank you for your guidance, great immortal. She'd just received my power, so her spiritual wisdom increased another level, and she knew I had a powerful background. Don't call me great immortal. I just regained my past life memories. You saved my life. This small reward is only fair. Oh, right, I haven't asked for your name yet. Ha, I don't have a proper name. Everyone calls me Ban. These little ones are called Egg, Lame, and Bald. These names are way too casual. I'll give you all proper names later. I still owe you that chicken for now. I have something important to ask you. When Ban heard it was serious business, she perked up right away, kicked the lame gawking fox next to her away, and led the others to bow to me in unison. She leaned in and whispered in a low voice. The original owner of this body was the son of a scholar family. Their family had 100 acres of good farmland. A few days ago, he suddenly went crazy, slept for 7 days, and then died. Then a Taoist priest showed up and insisted on burying the coffin in the mass grave. The ghost in the mass grave said, "That priest came back to open the coffin at midnight, took a look, and only left after that. This Taoist priest is definitely up to no good." My heart sank. The voice that cursed me when I just came back to life, saying I was an otherworldly demon, is almost definitely the soul of the original body owner. Looks like the original owner was hit with a soul separation spell. 9 out of 10, that Taoist priest is the mastermind behind this. If I don't get rid of this hidden danger, he'll come looking for me sooner or later. But I just came back to life. I'm so weak I can barely walk. I need to find a place to recover first. I'll go home first and figure the rest out later. The sun came up. Long-lost sunlight fell on my body. Even though I was so weak I could pass out any second. This feeling of being alive was so great. Ban made me a bowl of millet porridge. I forced myself to drink a few sips. I felt really nauseous, but at least there was a little warmth in my stomach now. Rested for a bit, Ban turned into an old woman and helped me walk to the Lee family's house. Passing villagers saw me. All of them acted like they had seen a ghost, screaming and running off in all directions. The Lee mansion was already a total mess. A servant scrambled into the gatehouse in a panic. "Sir, something terrible happened." "The young master. He came back from the dead." "You bastard. How dare you joke about something like this?" "Sir, the young master is back to take revenge." Master Lee and his wife exchanged a look. They were both shocked and furious. Who dares to pick on the Lee family when we have no heir? But Mrs. Lee grabbed her husband's arm hard. Her eyes were red with tears. What if it's real? They supported each other and rushed out the door, and spotted me standing right at the entrance immediately. Master Lee pointed at me, his voice cracking. Mrs. Lee rolled her eyes back. She almost fainted on the spot. What kind of demon are you? Why are you messing with my son's corpse? Ban stepped forward right away to stand in front of me. She yelled at the surrounding villagers at the top of her lungs. Hello, folks. Let this old woman say a fair word. I went to work in the fields early this morning and passed the mass grave on the way. I was so scared my legs went weak. I wanted to hurry away right then. But guess what happened? She paused on purpose. To get everyone all curious, someone in the crowd couldn't wait any longer, shouted at the top of his voice. Hurry up and tell us, old lady. Ban snickered. Then she continued speaking slowly. It was young Master Lee crying out for help. I heard it was a human voice, and it was broad daylight after all. No ghost would dare come out then, right? So I walked a few steps closer, and sure enough, I saw a coffin. Someone was yelling inside it. Saving a life is better than building 7 pagodas of merit. I pried open the coffin lid, and guess what? It was young Master Lee alive. Ban's shout left all the surrounding villagers stunned. I glanced at the villagers' expressions. They obviously wanted to take their hoes and beat this reanimated monster to death. My so-called father, Master Lee, was trembling with fear. He couldn't get a single word out of his throat. But Mrs. Lee rushed over suddenly. She flipped back the hair on the back of my neck and stared hard at that black mole. She screamed and started crying right there. Look at this mole. This mole is on my own flesh and blood. It's our son. Only then did Master Lee dare to come closer. He was shocked and overjoyed at the same time. My boy, you're really alive. The young master was just frightened. He hasn't come to his senses yet. Hurry up and get a doctor to check on him. Ban was getting burned by the living people's yang energy around her. She was afraid her foxtail would slip out, so she turned around and ran off. Faster than a rabbit even. Master Lee didn't even bother chasing that old woman. He quickly told his servants to set off firecrackers to ward off evil. Then he got the house-protecting Bagua mirror and waved it all over my body. It didn't detect any demons or monsters at all. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. He told people to take down the mourning hall and burn my memorial tablet. When that quack Dr. Lin from town arrived, his legs were shaking like leaves. He was the one who said I had phlegm blocking my heart 7 days ago, and that I was definitely going to die. He shakily took my pulse. His face kept changing expressions. This pulse, though it's faint as a thread, it's definitely a living person's pulse. Looks like the young master was in a death-like coma before. He's just extremely hungry now. Hurry up and feed him some rice soup. And make sure he doesn't eat any meat or fish. As long as you can save my only son. I'll do whatever you say. I lay in bed pretending to be dazed. But I knew exactly what was going on. This doctor is totally unqualified. But his advice for recovery is actually right. For the next 3 days, I survived on rice soup. And I also got a rough idea of what this world is like. The current dynasty is the Great Ning Dynasty, the 3rd year of the Jitai reign. History took a different turn after the Qin Dynasty. All the dynasties changed completely. There are still the 100 schools of thought, but they're totally different from the ones I know from my original world. The original owner of this body is named Li Yun, 16 years old, a child prodigy and a county-level scholar. His family owns 100 acres of fertile farmland. They're considered wealthy landlords. The most important thing is, my so-called dad spent his whole life trying to pass the provincial imperial exam and never did. So he pinned all his hopes on me. He even picked the character Yun for my name, to bless me with luck in literature and Taoism. He's been hoping I can pass the imperial exam and become a jinshi. But the more I think about it, the weirder it feels. The original owner of this body was perfectly healthy. How did he suddenly go crazy and drop dead? Right after he died, a Taoist priest showed up out of nowhere. He didn't even ask for payment. He insisted Master Li bury me in the mass grave, claiming it was for better feng shui. I had my servant dig around and found out that Taoist priest came to the mass grave on my burial night to secretly pry open my coffin and check the body. This is obviously the soul separation spell at work. That Taoist wasn't being kind at all. He wanted to use my body to nurture evil spirits, or suck out my soul to practice dark magic. Lucky for me, I reincarnated into this body. Otherwise, the Li family would have no heirs sooner or later. I was just figuring out how to deal with that evil Taoist. when a chubby, fair-skinned scholar burst through the door. "Bro, you're finally awake. I've missed you so much." I stared at Mrs. Lee, totally confused. The chubby guy smacked his thigh, looking all upset. "It's me, Kong Chong, Liu Kong Chong. We were classmates for 10 years. If you forgot about me, who's gonna let me copy their answers in exams later?" My mouth twitched a little. So this is some spoiled rich kid who never studies. When Liu Kong Kong saw I didn't say anything, he sneakily pulled a wooden box out of his sleeve. "Bro, this is a 30-year-old wild ginseng I stole from my dad to help you get your strength back. This guy is actually pretty reliable." He wiped his snot and leaned closer and lowered his voice. "Bro, did you really go to the gates of hell? What's the underworld like? Are ghosts scary?" I looked at his super curious little eyes and intentionally lowered my voice to say, "Actually, ghosts are just like people. Whatever people are like, ghosts are the same." Mrs. Lee next to us couldn't stand listening anymore. "Amitabha Buddha. Stop talking right now. Don't spout such nonsense." I winked at Liu Kong Kong. "I'm so bored cooped up here. Just joking with my bro to kill time." "Auntie, when guys are talking, it's so embarrassing if you stay here and listen." Mrs. Lee ended up leaving the room anyway. She sighed. "Ever since my son came back to life, he's not only forgotten some things, he also feels so distant from the whole family. A lot of his little habits aren't the same anymore. If it wasn't for the birthmark on his body and the scar he got from falling as a kid matching, I'd really think he was a whole different person. That empty coffin? Master Lee checked it himself, too. It's definitely empty. All these little details add up. But that Taoist has vanished into thin air. No one can find him anywhere." Mrs. Lee felt really uneasy about it. She went to the temple to repay her vows and got a blessed talisman to put under my pillow. She was terrified that some evil spirit had possessed her precious son. Back in the room, Liu Kong Kong was leaning against the bed, his chin resting on his arms, staring at me with big, eager eyes. "Come on, bro, tell me what the underworld is really like." "Cuff, cuff." "We'll talk about the underworld later, Kong Kong. Let me ask you, do you believe there are immortals in this world?" "Of course. Even Confucius believed in ghosts and gods. The imperial court holds sacrifices every year. I'm sure immortals exist. They're just way too far away from us." "Then what do you think about how I came back from the dead?" Liu Kong Kong's eyes went wide as saucers right away. His breathing even got faster. "Are you saying that—" I smiled faintly, putting on a mysterious, unfathomable look. "An immortal patted the top of my head and granted me immortality. Even though this chubby guy looks all silly and naive, his round face has a full forehead and a strong rounded jawline. His face clearly shows he's got great fortune. He's the perfect choice to take as my little follower. Cultivation needs 4 key things: wealth, companions, techniques, and land. I've got nothing right now, so I can use his good fortune to help with my cultivation. He already listens to everything I say without question. A little nudge from me will make him loyal to me forever." Sure enough, when Liu Kong Kong heard that, he was scared out of his wits. He dropped to his knees with a thud and kowtowed 3 times really hard. "Master, please accept your disciple's bow." Is he really this easy to trick? He didn't even doubt me for a second. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Do you think I look like someone who cultivates immortality right now?" "You totally do. Your whole aura is different. You look exactly like the immortals in paintings. Since you're so eager, I'll grant you a special opportunity. Tomorrow night, prepare 10 roast chickens at home. Put them in the yard. Then go inside and sleep. Don't peek no matter what noise you hear. If you have a dog at home, make sure it's leashed. If the chickens are gone the next day, then this whole thing will be a success." Liu Kong Kong looked completely dumbfounded. 10 roast chickens can get me an immortal fate. That easy. No wine or dishes, just roast chickens. Don't ask anything else. Don't joke around. If you prepare wine, those foxes will get drunk and show their true forms. Won't that scare your whole family to death?" Though Liu Kong Kong was confused, he still wrote everything down honestly. To strengthen this fatty's will to follow the Tao, I told him about karma and retribution in hell. He broke out in a cold sweat from listening. He swore to follow me to cultivate immortality and escape suffering. Before he left, I decided to show off a little and completely wow him. I put on a mysterious act. "If you don't believe me, I'll tell you something right now. You can go verify it later. You'll pick up a sum of money on your way back. It's exactly enough to buy those 10 chickens. But this money is a poor person's life-saving savings. You have to wait at the same spot for an hour and return the money to its owner. This is called accumulating yin virtue. The little fatty nodded like a pecking chicken. His face was full of excitement. Don't worry, bro. I don't care about this little bit of money. I sent Liu Kongkong away. I pretended to be tired and lay down to rest. As soon as Liu Kongchong walked out the door, he ran into Mrs. Li, who was eavesdropping outside. He pretended nothing was wrong and greeted her. Auntie, I'll head back first. I'll also let the classmates know you're okay, bro. Mrs. Li felt a little awkward. She said politely, that wild ginseng is too valuable. You should take it back with you. Auntie, are you looking down on my bro's kindness? I'm leaving the ginseng here. Mrs. Li sighed. She walked this honest kid to the door. Liu Tongkong climbed onto the back of the already waiting house servant Sha Erzu. He yelled, let's go. Sha Erzu carried the little fatty and walked steadily. Do you think people can come back to life after they die? No. Erzu answered simply and directly. What if they somehow come back to life anyway? Then they weren't dead in the first place. Liu Tongkong was so angry he slapped his thigh. Can't reason with a blockhead like you, forget it. Wait, stop here. Erzu put him down. Liu Kongkong picked up a blue cloth purse by the roadside. He opened it to take a look. It was full of copper coins and broken silver pieces. Amazing, that's so amazing. He counted it carefully. It was exactly enough money to buy 10 chickens. Erzu smiled foolishly. Young master, you have really good luck. You can even pick up money while walking. Of course, your young master has someone guiding me. I have an expert guiding me. Let's wait here for a bit. The person who lost the money must be dying of anxiety. The two waited by the roadside for a while. Sure enough, they saw an old woman leading a little kid covered in mud and ash. They looked devastated as they searched along the road. Liu Kongkong whistled. He held up the purse. Is this yours? The old woman saw it. She knelt down with a thud and started kowtowing. Oh, kind sir. That's the life-saving money my kid's dad earned doing hard labor. If we lost it, my kid and I would have to hang ourselves. Auntie, don't kowtow to me. Let the little kid kowtow to me instead. The old woman thanked him 1,000 times. She pulled her grandson over to kowtow to Liu Kongkong. Liu Kongkong didn't stand on ceremony. He told Erzu to take out a string of copper coins and give it to the kid. The old woman tried to kowtow to thank him again. She kept saying she had met a living bodhisattva. Liu Kongkong climbed onto Erzu's back again. He waved his hand and said, let's go, leaving the old woman and the kid thanking him non-stop on the spot. Erzu, do you think I'm a good person? Of course you are, young master. Ha ha ha, I'm such a good person. Liu Kongkong laughed loudly, but his mind was in complete turmoil. Bro really met a fairy. He even predicted who would lose the money so accurately. This isn't something an ordinary person can do. He's clearly an extraordinary person. With this kind of ability, even if he's not an immortal, he's still an extraordinary person. He returned home just like that. Liu Kongkong immediately went to his kitchen to find Nanny Zhao. Nanny Zhao, go buy 10 chickens and come back. Kill all of them and roast them. Xiao Mama was startled, but this little troublemaker had given his order. Who dared to disobey? After a whole mess of chaos and fuss, 10 old hens went into the pot. Over here, Liu Kongchong was busy running around. Over on my end, I wasn't sitting idle either. I used that sparrow spirit to keep constant tabs on that pack of foxes. The sparrow wanted a handful of my grain, so it became my spy. That pack of foxes was prepping for their big feast that night. Uncle, that scholar wouldn't lie to us, right? A few foxes were muttering among themselves as they put dead human bones on their heads to shapeshift into humans. The first one turned into a pot-bellied, jaundiced ghost kid. Cripple 2 became a lecherous, scabby-headed John. Baldy 3 turned into a skittish, hunchbacked old man. The old fox looked at this ragtag bunch with disgust and took them to the nearby dirt-rinsing spring to clean up. Then they slathered on specially made scented balm that barely covered up their strong fox stench. At midnight, an eerie gust of wind suddenly blew up. Liu Tongkong followed my instructions and hid inside the house, not daring to make a single sound. Rustling sounds came from the yard. There's 4 of us. How do we split 10 chickens? 1 for you, 1 for me. Liu Tongkong was eaten up by curiosity and couldn't hold back any longer. He snuck to the window crack to peek outside. That one look almost scared his soul out of his body. Under the moonlight, 4 figures were gnawing wildly on roasted chicken. Their eyes glowed with faint green light. Fluffy tails were sticking out from behind their butts. The old woman, which was the old fox in disguise, seemed to sense someone staring. Its head twisted a creepy 180 degrees to face backward. Those green eyes stared straight at Liu Kongkong behind the window crack. Liu Kongkong's legs went weak from fear. He crawled back to bed on all fours. "Eat the chicken, don't eat me, please." The foxes in the yard were eating with grease dripping down their chins. They started packing the leftovers to take to the little fox cubs. The crippled fox was munching as he sighed. "Being a human is so hard. I might as well go sell myself at the city brothel like Agui. I heard you just lie down and make money. And you can absorb male essence to boost your yin power, too." "Shut up, that cheap, trashy trick will get you beaten to death sooner or later. We follow great immortal Shu now. That's the proper path." The foxes got scolded and didn't dare make a peep. They ate as much as they could and grabbed the rest, shoving all the leftover chicken into their mouths to store. Only then did they leave completely satisfied. It wasn't until dawn that Liu Kongkong, who'd held his pee all night, dared to open the door and come out. The yard was a total mess. The table was covered in grease and paw prints. A few fox hairs were left scattered on the ground. This obviously wasn't the work of normal human diners, even though there were lots of ghost and spirit tales in the countryside. This was the first time he'd ever encountered one for real. Liu Kongkong was spooked inside, but he felt even more excited. If monsters are real, then the immortal's brother Li talked about must be real too. He didn't see any immortals last night, but those chicken-gnawing foxes were definitely real. Plus, brother Li can order fox spirits around. How freaking awesome is that skill? The Liu family servants had it way worse, especially Zhao Mama. She heard the noises in the yard at midnight and was scared out of her wits. Early the next morning, she trembled as she advised Liu Kongkong, "Young master, those things are unclean. Don't ever invite them into the house again, okay? So mama, keep what happened last night rotting in your stomach. Don't tell a single soul. I'll reward you with 200 copper coins later." The 4 fox spirits also went back to their den, fully satisfied. They divided the leftover chicken bones among the little cubs. Early in the morning, the sparrow spirit flew onto the crooked neck tree and yelled arrogantly, "Come out to receive the decree." The old fox man had gotten a lot smarter now. He hurried out to greet it. "What can I do for you, master?" The sparrow spirit added after speaking, "Go to the Shu family's place tonight. The immortal is going to give you official names. The immortal also wants you to look into all the monks and Taoists in this area. See who has actual real skills." When Ban heard they were getting official names, he grinned so wide his face almost split. "With proper official names, we'll be formal registered members of the immortals team too." I was lying in bed, sipping meat porridge fed to me by Xiao Hong, while making plans in my head. Right now, my yin is too strong and my yang is too weak. My soul is too powerful. My physical body is too weak. I have to nourish it properly. The doctor didn't dare prescribe strong medicine, but I did. I had the ginseng Liu Kongkong gave me sliced up. I hold 1 slice under my tongue every day, letting it dissolve slowly with my saliva. Combined with frequent small portions of meat porridge and lamb soup, my body is recovering a lot faster. Xiao Hong stared in shock at the medicinal food list I wrote. "When did you learn medicine, young master?" I didn't explain, just told her to follow my instructions. After finishing the porridge, I scattered a handful of millet in the yard to bribe that sparrow spirit to keep being my lookout. Then I went back to my room and picked up the classics the original owner had read, to study the writing and thoughts of this world. Not long after, Xiao Hong pushed the door and came in. "Young master, Master Liu is here." I put down the book, told her to let him in. Right after I said that, Liu Kong slid and knelt right in front of my bed. His eyes were sparkling. "Bro, you're a freaking legend. I actually found money yesterday." I smiled and gestured for Xiao Hong to close the door and leave. Liu Kong immediately leaned over and lowered his voice. "Bro, were those chicken-eating things last night fox immortals?" I nodded. "Yep, I told them to go. I want to introduce you to them. That's the immortal fate I told you about." Liu Kong was both excited and scared. "Bro, I'm scared of monsters. What's there to be scared of?" "You think I'd hurt you?" I looked him right in the eye. I'm destined to become an immortal in this life. But I've got tons of calamities to go through. I need someone to guard my path. Are you in? When Liu Kong heard that, he immediately raised his hand and swore. "Hell yeah! Liu Kong will follow you for life, bro. Wherever you point your knife, I'll chop that way." I sighed. This dumb kid is way too honest. I put on a serious face and said, "Since you're on board, I'll teach you the real stuff." I divined that I'll have a calamity soon, and I need your help to get through it. I plan to have you set up a fox immortal hall and invite those foxes home to be worshipped. I'm going to teach him the shamanic possessed immortal method, to be the mortal vessel for the fox immortals. This method does consume a bit of your energy, but I'll set up rules to stop the foxes from possessing you whenever they want. To minimize the side effects as much as possible, this method lets you borrow the fox immortal's power without cultivating, but you have to pay a small price for it. You'll lose some of your energy and spirit. Are you still willing? Get power without practicing, and I can lose weight too. That's such a good deal. Bro, teach me right now. Damn, his thought process is next level crazy. So I taught him the incantations and the rules for setting up the hall in detail. Find a quiet room when you get home. Worship the memorial tablets of Master Li, Lord Tarma, and those fox immortals there. You have to offer chicken and fish on the 1st and 15th of every lunar month. This room can't be opened normally, and no one else is allowed to enter. Only you can go in, I told him carefully. The foxes won't eat your offerings for free. They have a great information network. You can use that for your business, but when you make some money, you have to donate part of it to do good deeds and accumulate merit. This accumulates merit for you, and for the fox immortals too. Among this litter of foxes, only one matches your birth date. But that one alone can control the other 3. Foxes don't just need food, they also need to be educated. Teach them enlightenment teachings when you're free. When Liu Tongkong heard he had to teach, his face instantly fell. Bro, I barely know how to read myself. I put on a stern face to scare him. If you don't teach them to understand human ways, what if they go feral one day and eat your whole family? You have to raise them like your own kids. They'll only work their hardest for you once they trust you. Also, you have to feed them yourself every time, so they get used to your scent. Also, you have to talk to them more often, so they get familiar with your voice. After arranging everything, Liu Kongkong had a quick vegetarian meal with Erzu at noon. I went back to my room for a nap in the afternoon. I fell asleep drowsily and had a nightmare. There were cold gusts of wind in the dream. Doors and windows were rattling like crazy. I got up to close the door, and when I turned around, I saw a person hanging from the beam. It was my maid Xiao Hong. Her hair was all messy and hanging down. Her tongue was sticking out really long. Her lifeless eyes were staring right at me. I broke out in a cold sweat. I hadn't had a single dream since I mastered the minor circulation technique in my past life. This dream must be an omen. I immediately took out copper coins to do a divination. I tossed them 6 times in a row. I got the bow hexagram. Multiple yin forces are eroding the yang force. That's a super bad omen. I'm the yang that just came back to life. Those yin forces are obviously the evil spirits coming for me. That hanged ghost didn't just find me. He brought backup too. I snorted coldly. No way they hurt anyone on my watch. I called Xiao Hong over right away, cut a strand of her hair, and asked for her exact birth date and time. Xiao Hong blushed bright red, thinking I was up to no good. But she did as I asked anyway. I wrapped the hair in a slip of paper, drew a talisman, and chanted a spell. Then I told Liu Kongkong to buy a live hen that's at least 3 years old. Fatty didn't hesitate at all. He went out and came back with a 6 to 7 pound barred chicken. I stuffed the talisman into the chicken's belly, handed it to Xiao Hong. Tie it to your bedhead for the next few days. This is a matter of life and death. You have to do exactly as I say. Xiao Hong went pale with fear, nodded again and again. Then I checked my parents and the servants in the manor. They all had a hint of ill fortune on them, but luckily none of them had a fatal curse. Looks like that evil spirit picks on the weakest first. That's why he went after Xiao Hong first. Then I asked Liu Kongcheng and Xiao Hong to help move the decorations in the yard, to set up a simple feng shui array. Finally, I burned an evil-blocking talisman at the door. After I got all this done, I couldn't help but think, how did that ghost get in here? Every house has a house guardian deity. No one can enter without permission, unless there's a mole inside letting them in. I thought of the original owner's soul. If the original owner led the hanged ghost in, that makes perfect sense. This problem has to be fixed. If the original owner's soul gains enough power, turns into a corpse-guarding ghost, or even a corpse demon, I'll lose this body sooner or later. I thought it over again and again. The best solution is to turn the original owner into my personal guardian deity, just like how Celestial Master Sa subdued Wang Lingguan. We both benefit from this arrangement. Way better than letting him turn into an evil ghost. The next day, I had the whole manor cleaned top to bottom, adjusted the feng shui layout. To gather positive energy, at dinner I said I wanted chicken congee to nourish my body, so Li Fu decided to break the vegetarian diet too, and even dragged Niu Kong Kong to drink with him. That fatty Niu Kong Kong is really good at currying favor. He had Master Li laughing his head off. He chugged 7 or 8 cups of liquor himself, and he also erased Li Fu's last bit of doubt about me coming back to life. After dinner, my parents went back to their room to rest, told us to go to bed early. Once the 2 elders left, I went to Qiantang Courtyard with the little fatty. I sat on a chair, while the little fatty stood under the moon. Then I sent Xiao Hong and all the other servants away. The servants felt like they'd just been pardoned, and scattered immediately. Only Liu Kong Kong and I were left in the room. In the candlelight, this little fatty's eyes were as bright as 2 big light bulbs. I taught him cultivation techniques for an hour. He was so hyped he was scratching his head and fidgeting. He wished he could ascend to immortality right then. Suddenly there was loud knocking on the door. I did a quick divination, then said to open the door. Our guests are here. We heard chirping from above our heads. It was that nosy sparrow spirit that loves eavesdropping. This guy doesn't have much power, but his intel gathering skills are top-notch. Plus, he's a total glutton. Last night, he was jealous of the foxes eating chicken, so we had to come mooch some benefits tonight. When Liu Tongtong opened the door, he saw an old lady in black with a big-headed doll, a lame man, and a hunchbacked old man. When they saw me sitting on the chair, they immediately rushed over and thudded to their knees on the ground. Little Fox greets the immortal with my entire clan. Stand up. I called you here tonight. First, to give you official names. Second, to teach you cultivation methods. We disciples are so moved. The 4 foxes heard that and kowtowed excitedly over and over. Especially the old foxman was crying like a baby. After all these years, he's finally recognized. I said a few words to comfort him and gave them a little pep talk. These foxes were totally moved to tears. Ban, you're a male fox. Disciple is used to this old lady appearance. It's easier for me to run errands outside. All right, Ban, your name will be Hu Jin from now on. Yiden's name is Hu Duxiu. Urke's name is Hu Butang. Santu's name is Hu Delu. Now that you're following me, you have to stay on the right path. Cut out all the sneaky petty theft stuff. Yes, sir. Next is the ritual teaching session. I asked about the lineage of Hu Jin's faction. Sure enough, it was a messy, unregulated, random practice. I straight up dismissed their entire set of jumbled, unorthodox skills as totally worthless. Then I passed down a proper set of immortal cultivation techniques, taught them how to set up temples and form communities, and accumulate merit and virtue. Hu Jin, would you like to be Huizhuo's guardian immortal and cultivate together with her? This disciple is willing. Hushin nodded repeatedly. This was such a great chance to latch onto a powerful backer. There was no way he dared to refuse. So right in front of me, the human and the fox signed a pact. Before they left, I pulled Hu Jin aside and whispered an order to him. That hanged ghost snuck in with your group. Go dig up all his background info for me. I'm gonna trap him with no way out. The fox spirit was about to speak. I waved my hand to tell him to stay quiet. I told them to leave through the back door. The foxes left. Then I told Liu Kong Kong to take soot from the bottom of the pot and draw a line at the back door. I chanted a spell once. Perfect now. There's no way that ghost can escape. Just then, the sparrow spirit above my head chirped anxiously. Chirp, chirp, chirp. What about me? What about me? From now on, your name is Warhawk. Stick with me. Learn to speak human words as soon as possible, and I'll take you on as a registered disciple. When the sparrow spirit heard he got a badass cool name, he flew away all smug and proud. It was late. The midnight hour was approaching. The temperature in the yard dropped sharply. Yin wind blew from all directions. A layer of white frost formed on the grass blades. I curled up under the covers and sneered. This evil ghost is basically a walking AC unit. Perfect for summer use. The yin wind swirled around the room, as if looking for its target. Suddenly there was a meow, a shrill, mournful cat cry. Then came the sound of something shattering and clattering all over the place. I set up a simple feng shui array earlier that day. For ghosts, flowing qi is just like a river, blocking their path forward. Solid, dense qi is like a mountain. These mountains and rivers combine to form a maze. That damn ghost is trapped in the ghost wall illusion I made. The weird noises outside stopped. It was dead silent, but I knew this was just the calm before the storm. Suddenly, a faint murmur sounded by my ear. "Where are you? I'm gonna find you." Hoarse and creepy. Heavy footsteps approached slowly. Each step felt like it was stomping on my heart. This is a classic psychological attack. He wants to scare me out of my wits? No way. I looked up at the landscape painting hanging on the door. It was a gift someone gave my grandpa when he was an 8th rank official. It's a patron mountain painting. I added a Mount Tai talisman on it. He wants to push past this mountain and get in his dreams. I also tied a spirit knot with straw rope by the bed, made it into a bouncing palm barrier. As long as I don't open the door. Even if this ghost rips the roof off, he can't get in. Creak! There was the sound of pushing the door outside, but the door didn't move an inch. Creak, creak! The ghost couldn't push the door open, so he stared hard inside through the door crack. He blew a gust of yin qi from his mouth, instantly freezing the air into frost. But he couldn't see anything from his perspective. It was like I was invisible. Is he not inside? Then let's go somewhere else. Total nonsense. I'm not gonna fall for that and open the door to check. Sure enough, an hour later, that dark shadow snuck back again. When he saw there was really no movement inside, he finally left for good. He turned and went to the wing room. The maids and old servant women live there. Perfect place for a bully who preys on the weak. The old women were snoring like thunder. The ghost didn't even bother with them. He went straight to Xiao Hong's room. At this time, Xiao Hong was curled up under her covers, listening to her old hen clucking anxiously by the bed. She was shaking all over with fear. She remembered my warning. Grip the corner of the quilt tight. Didn't dare move an inch. Suddenly, the old hen stopped clucking. Xiao Hong was terrified to feel the hen stop flapping. Instead, it was hung from the beam by a hemp rope. In the hanged ghost's eyes, Xiao Hong was already scared out of her wits. Perfect time to strike. A blood-stained noose hung down from the beam. Xiao Hong acted like she was possessed, stood up uncontrollably, walked step by step towards the rope. The hemp rope tightened around her neck. Little Hong struggled like crazy, kicking her feet wildly. The hanged ghost watched the whole scene, totally content. But what was weird was why this girl had so little resentment. He glanced at her in disgust and stopped killing more people. Turned around to leave. Wait till the Zhu family falls into chaos tomorrow. He can take his time reaping souls. But when he tried to leave, he found he couldn't get out no matter what. Ghostly wind howled across the yard. But he could never find the exit. The whole yard was like a sealed iron bucket, trapping him tightly inside, until the rooster crowed and the sky was fully bright. The evil ghost was so panicked that he dived into the well to hide. Early the next morning, Li Fu looked at the messy yard. With a gloomy face, I rinsed my mouth and asked casually, "Why isn't little Hong here?" The serving old woman stammered. Little Hong is sick. She has a fever and is talking nonsense," said her chicken hung itself from the beam last night. I knew exactly what happened. That old hen took the misfortune for little Hong. After finishing porridge, I walked out of my room and saw Li Fu calming the servants. The strong wind blew off some tiles. It's no big deal. Hurry up and clean everything up. Liu Kongkong came over with dark under-eye circles, wearing a confused, questioning look. I turned to Father Shu and said, "Dad, while we're repairing the house, why don't we do a full deep clean to get rid of the bad luck? Not only do we need to remove bad luck, we also need to do the rice blessing ritual. Son, I plan to arrange a marriage for you. Dad, this isn't urgent. We still haven't figured out why I came back from the dead. I always feel someone is trying to harm me." I stared straight into my parents' eyes. When I was bedridden sick, did any strange people come to visit? There's no strange people at all. Don't overthink it. Kong Kong, you go back first. Set up the altar properly. And start your cultivation as soon as possible. Liu Songkong nodded and left. The whole Li family started a lively full cleaning. I took the chance to observe the house's feng shui layout. The overall layout is symmetrical and neat, with clear primary and secondary areas, gray bricks and dark tiles. There are basically no major feng shui problems. After all, Grandpa Li was a merchant back then, and later donated for an 8th rank nominal official title, leaving an estate of hundreds of acres of fertile farmland. Anyone who can live in such a big house must have hired professionals to design and build it. But fortune always changes with time. The family's luck has been weak. They've only had one male heir for 3 generations. Original owner Li Yun's violent death is the best proof. I directed the servants to move furniture and clean up all corners. I rearranged the layout with the 9 palaces method, changing the energy flow of the whole house. We cleared out a lot of broken junk during cleaning. I even threw away a cracked old bowl. Home feng shui puts emphasis on cleanliness, good lighting, good ventilation, completeness, and comfort. I then set up the 4 spirits formation to gather positive living energy and took the wing room in the northwest Qian position as my own bedroom. The Qian position gathers yang energy, which is perfect for helping me recover my health, and I can also use family luck for cultivation. The cleaning lasted until 12:45 p.m. When yang peaks, yin starts to grow. A gust of ghost wind rose from the ground. The old woman fetching water was hit by the wind and sneezed. Her yang energy weakened and her vision blurred, and she screamed loudly, "Ghost, there's a dead body in the well." She loosened her grip, and the wooden bucket fell back into the well. Master Li rushed over when he heard the noise. It's broad daylight, where would a ghost come from? I walked up and patted the old woman's shoulder to calm her down. I had someone bring a bronze mirror to shine into the well. The well water was clear, with only a few goldfish floating belly up. The old woman breathed a sigh of relief. I saw wrong. She kept saying she misread it. I smiled a little. In my eyes, the hanged ghost was hiding at the bottom of the well, holding those fish and pretending to be dead. This ghost was trapped in the house by me and hid in the well in a panic. This well is located at the can position. It's a yin gathering spot, perfect for setting up a formation. I immediately went to Father Li's study to grab and took that bronze fish paperweight. Then I went to Mother Li's prayer hall and borrowed the pure water vase from the Guanyin statue. The bronze fish paperweight is placed on the edge of the well. Calabashes absorb evil energy. The pure water vase dissolves evil auras. The evil force was finally suppressed. The hanged ghost's yin-evil energy was converted into positive life energy. It even became a power source for the array. All the cold, eerie wind disappeared right away. The whole house felt brighter and more spacious. The air carried a warm vibe of spring flowers blooming. Even though Li Fu knew nothing about feng shui, he felt the change and asked tentatively, "Son, where did you learn all these skills?" After that serious illness, I suddenly got the hang of it. I made that up off the top of my head. Father Li didn't ask further questions. He just told me to study hard and prepare for next year's county exam. I nodded and agreed. Getting an official title through the exam is also part of my plan. At dusk, I finished my meat porridge and started reading. The hanged ghost at the bottom of the well couldn't hold back anymore. A wet hemp rope snuck out of the well edge like a snake. The bronze fish paperweight flashed with golden light and turned into a huge, stunning carp. It smacked the rope back with its tail. The hanged ghost refused to give up and released evil energy to fight back. But that only activated the feng shui array. The calabash on the roof looked like a towering mountain in his eyes. It pressed down so hard he could barely breathe. He had to shrink back to the well bottom to find another exit. Following the water channel, he snuck into the front hall of the main house. This is the core of the whole residence, where the family ancestors are enshrined. The hanged ghost showed up from the pool in the hall and was about to climb up with the hemp rope. But the next second, he triggered what seemed to be the switch of the feng shui array. 4 stone tortoises started inhaling and trapped him. The Chinese words for tortoise, ghost, and return are homophones. Tortoises symbolize longevity and peace. Their 2 paws hold water, which represents receiving blessings, longevity, health, and fortune. This is the core of the 4 waters returning to the hall, feng shui pattern, which is designed to receive blessings from heaven, including longevity, wealth, and official career luck. Now the pure water vase is placed in the mouth of the northern tortoise. The northern tortoise is Zhuanwu, the black tortoise of the north. The pure water vase stores water energy. Guanyin once used it to hold all water from the 4 seas. Only a giant divine turtle can hold it up. This is a combination of Buddhist and Taoist power. It immediately started absorbing all cold yin evil energy released by the hanged ghost. The hanged ghost was extremely terrified and tried to break out. The 4 tortoises stabilized the formation firmly, as if there was a transparent barrier. He couldn't break through no matter how hard he tried. The formation is shaped like a centipede, with Chen position at the front and Kun position at the back, representing the harmony of yin and yang. It gathers all energy of the whole residence. When the energy flows, it is as powerful as a river. When it stays still, it is as solid as a mountain. The hanged ghost couldn't leave even if he wanted to. He couldn't even retreat back to the hidden ditch. The hanged ghost's evil energy was being dissolved continuously and turned into positive life energy for the four waters returning to the hall array. This positive energy flows along the feng shui channels and finally gathers at the Chen position. That is exactly where my room is located now. I felt the positive energy gathering in my room, bringing a joyful vibe of all things thriving. I immediately started trying to restore vital energy in my internal organs. I used the authentic Taoist guiding and breathing technique, the top-level health method called turtle breathing. Turtle breathing is a type of sleeping exercise. When practicing this method, you imitate the hibernation of a tortoise. So you don't need to sit in meditation, you just need to lie on your side and keep heart and kidney energy connected. Breathe slowly and steadily. Inhale and exhale long and deep. Stay in a state between sleep and wake to preserve your energy and spirit. Besides, turtle breathing blocks external distractions, so it is very suitable for sensing internal energy. Only when you can sense the energy inside your body can you strengthen and cultivate it and guide it to flow slowly. With the help of the feng shui pattern, my body recovered much faster. Breathe in, breathe out. I quickly got the hang of it. My mind went completely blank. I only focused on my breathing, feeling the energy flowing and circulating inside my body. I could hear my heartbeat and the sound of my organs working. The positive energy nourished my internal organs. Even though I was half asleep, it was actually no different from being in deep sleep. My internal organs were expelling toxins. The damaged body functions were repairing themselves, and my brain was resting. While I was absorbing positive energy to nourish myself, the Liu family was in total chaos on the other side. Liu Kongkong followed my advice and wanted to set up a shrine in a quiet place to worship the fox immortal, but people were coming and going everywhere in the Liu residence. There was no quiet place at all. So Liu Kongkong decided to buy a separate house. Buying a house is not a small expense. He needed to withdraw hundreds of taels of silver. That alerted old Mrs. Liu. Old Mrs. Liu didn't care about much else, but she was terrified her son would go whoring or gambling. After she heard the news, she immediately brought along sturdy female servants to lock Liu Kongkong up at home and forbade him from going anywhere. This little chubby guy tried to climb over the wall to run away when no one was looking, but ended up spraining his ankle and screamed in pain, so he was dragged back into the house again. Liu Kongkong couldn't help but start sobbing uncontrollably. He told old Mrs. Liu he wanted to buy a house, to study in peace, and pass the imperial examination in the future. Old Mrs. Liu nursed this silly kid from infancy. There's no way she doesn't know this guy can't stand studying at all. Why would she believe him? Instead, she imagined he was keeping a mistress there, so she was even more unwilling to give him money or let him go out. Wait till your dad comes back to deal with you. Liu Kongkong could only sigh and give up, looking totally dejected. Erju saw that Liu Kongchong had sprained his ankle, so he massaged his foot for him to promote blood circulation and reduce swelling, as he said. "Young master, what are you trying to do? Why do you have to buy a house?" Liu Kongkong looked extremely upset. "I got a fate connection with an immortal. I need to find a quiet place to worship him. Too bad my mom, that silly woman, doesn't understand. She's keeping me trapped at home. If this doesn't work out, I'll miss my immortal fate." After Erzu heard this, he didn't even ask what kind of immortal fate it was. He thought for a while and said, "How about using the house in my hometown? After my dad died, it's been left empty. And I came to work at your place anyway. It's just a rural earthen house, in a super remote location. It's just that no one has lived there for ages, and I barely ever go back. I'm afraid it's already overgrown with weeds." Liu Kongkong's eyes lit up when he heard this. "Good Erzu, you're the best. Remote and unoccupied is exactly what we need." The two of them came up with a clever trick, snuck out again, and headed for Silly Erzu's hometown. Silly Erzu's house is in Nujiaji, in a cramped little corner of the town. There's a small hill right behind it, and there's a big tree blocking the front door. Because of that big blocking tree, the gate and yard are built crooked. That's a huge taboo in feng shui. That's exactly what people mean by crooked gate and crooked path. The hill behind isn't a supportive backer hill either. If there's a heavy rainstorm, it'll erode the house's foundation. In terms of feng shui, this place isn't suitable for building a house for the living at all. It's not even suitable for a grave. Besides, the back hill blocks the sunlight. And there's a big tree at the front gate that blocks the light and blocks the road too. That makes it even more inauspicious. As soon as they walked in, Liu Kongkong couldn't help shivering. It was all cold and gloomy here. The small yard inside was also extremely damp. with ferns growing everywhere. Ursu trampled a path through the weeds and unlocked the door. Then a gust of wind blew out from inside. It was also cold and chilly. The inside was actually still dry. It just hadn't been cleaned in a long time and smelled like dust and mold. Liu Tongkong tiptoed in to look around. There wasn't much light inside. It was all dark and gloomy. There was only a small table and stools. He looked around carefully after entering and walked through the main hall to the backyard. The backyard is right up against the hill. A small section of the hill was dug out, and a simple shed was built there as the kitchen. Firewood was piled up next to it. An abandoned small vegetable garden is on the side of the house. It's really remote and quiet enough. Erzu clicked his tongue and said, "My dad was a hard worker. He picked a piece of unwanted land to build this house. My mom died really early. He raised me all by himself and ended up working himself to death." Silly Erzu said, "Before my dad died, he took me to beg your father for help. Your father was kind-hearted and took me in. My dad passed away just a few days later. All the stuff in the house was taken away by relatives. The fields were divided up too. Only this house. Your father stepped in and made sure it was kept for me. He said it's for me to use when I get a wife later. Erzu, you've had it so rough. You're just like those protagonists in storybooks. Silly Erzu, as long as I have meat to eat in the future, you'll definitely have soup to drink. Stick with me, kid. You won't regret it." "Oomph," Liu Tongkong said emotionally. Then the two of them started tidying up and setting things right away. Move the dining table to the front of the main hall. Cover it with a red cloth. Hang a blank scroll directly on the wall, right at the very top as I told you. The seat of Master Li the Sovereign. Write Hujin right below that. Under Hujin write Huduxu, Hubutang, and Hudelu. Next we need to consecrate the immortal genealogy tablet. We have to summon the conscious spirit of the fox immortal. Consecrate the incense burner as well. I've taught him all these steps already." Liu Tongkong followed each step carefully. First he lit incense, bowed to 4 directions, and summoned the 4 spirits. Then he notified the local earth god. After that, he paid respect to all spirits across the world. Once all the rituals were finished, Liu Tongkong had no idea if he'd done it correctly, but he still followed the instructions strictly. When it was time to leave, he wrote on a piece of red paper posted on the door, X year, X month, X day. Disciple Liu Tongkong hereby invites the Fox Immortal to reside in this hall. All yin spirits and evil forces here shall not enter without permission. This paper served as a seal. They did this for fear that the newly set up hall would be seized by other random evil beings. After finishing all this, the two left the place. Right after Liu Tongkong completed the ritual, under the old crooked neck tree, the fox spirit sensed it immediately. It was over the moon with joy, scratching its ears and cheeks excitedly. It did a weird little dance on the spot and ordered, "Kids, pack up all your stuff. We're moving tonight. No more living in this stinky, reeking, disgusting, shabby place." One fox asked after hearing this, "Where is that human's house? Is it big enough for all of us?" The fox spirit didn't have answers, so it just said, "I'll go check out the place first. See what the surroundings are like. I'll come back and tell you all later." Then it turned into an old lady in black clothes, followed the guidance to the old house where Shah-Er lived. It saw the house was built right against the mountain, and was very satisfied, really nice. The kids can even go play on the mountain. When it walked closer to look, a big tree in front of the door was even more to its liking. We used to live under that old crooked neck tree. There's a big tree here too. Big trees can gather spiritual energy. They also give us little demon shelter. Crows and magpies can also come here to build nests. This is really great. Then it spotted the red paper seal. It read the words on it twice, and confirmed it was an invitation for itself to move in. Then it grinned, showing its sharp fox teeth, tore the seal off the door, folded it up, and kept it as an invitation proof. It walked into the yard and looked around. Though there was lots of overgrown weeds, that was not a downside for foxes at all. It was actually an advantage. It walked across the yard and entered the main hall. Though the room was dim and gloomy, it could see the immortal genealogy scroll at first glance. So Hujin knelt down respectfully, kowtowed, and lit incense. Disciple Hujin pays respect to Dharma Master Li. After kowtowing, it split off a wisp of its spirit to attach to, and settle on the 2 characters Hujin written on the genealogy scroll. Once this wisp of spirit entered the scroll, its perspective started to change. Turns out with the offering table and incense burner set up, this house was already a proper Dharma realm ashram, and this immortal genealogy scroll had become a gateway to enter this Dharma realm ashram. Inside the Dharma realm of the genealogy scroll, the seat of Dharma Master Li was like a sun, shining brightly over this entire space. It could faintly sense. It felt like a temple with endless worshippers and burning incense. But this space wasn't very big. It was roughly the same size as the actual house, but it could change according to its thoughts. A grassy yard manifested right away. Another thought and all kinds of furniture appeared, but it was feeling extremely mentally exhausted. Hoojin messed around for a little longer, before it finally realized in a daze what exactly this space was. I can use this immortal genealogy scroll to enter. The Dharma realm attached to this house and yard. It's similar to a yin house for dead humans. No, wait, this is an ashram, or a cultivation cave to be exact. Then what's outside the door of this Dharma realm? Hoojin pushed open the yard gate in the Dharma realm. An icy yin wind blew over instantly. It stung its face badly. The outside was gray and desolate. There was a pitch-black old tree, so thick that over 10 people would need to wrap arms around it to circle. Blocking its way, its crown stretched for several miles. Just like a giant umbrella, the mountain behind was even darker and more menacing, connected to the endless ghost cry forest. Hoojin wanted to go further out, but it noticed that not far away, pairs of dark red eyes suddenly popped up, oozing malice and greedy intent, all staring at this suddenly opened gateway, and even made eye contact with Hoojin. It seemed to approach in the blink of an eye. The owners of these eyes looked like they'd teleported, closing in step by step. Hoojin got a huge fright and retreated back inside the door, then slid the bolt shut. In that eerie perspective in an instant, the doorway appeared out of nowhere, then vanished into thin air again. The outside turned out to be the Dharma realm, too. Hoojin had his own passed-down lineage. He'd heard seniors talk about it before. What it's like when the yin soul leaves the body to travel the Dharma realm. It's exactly this gloomy, spooky appearance. The Dharma realm is not the underworld. It's just a perception built from the thoughts of all living beings. A projection of consciousness. That's why when people worship gods and Buddhas, those gods and Buddhas reside in the Dharma realm. When people fear ghosts and demons, those ghosts and demons also breed in the Dharma realm, and some obsessions and resentments in the Dharma realm will morph into living creatures of the Dharma realm. Cultivating in the Dharma realm has a different sense of time from the outside world. After all, thoughts move extremely fast. Take reading a book, for example. In the mortal world, you're restricted by your physical body. You read page by page, and might not even remember what you read. In the Dharma realm, you just need to scan it once, and you'll remember everything. If your thoughts are solid and concentrated, you won't forget even after you return to your body. Hoojin realized how precious the immortal art I passed down is. It looked like after the arrangements were made, this house would form a shelter in the Dharma realm, just like a magical cultivation dojo, or a cultivation cave for powerful demons. For me, it's not just a shelter, where no one can enter without permission. It also lets me peacefully grow my wisdom in the Dharma realm, and cultivate my Taoist practice. Hoojin was super excited. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. He just swore silently in his heart that he would be unwaveringly loyal to me. He wandered around the Fox Immortal Hall yard in the Dharma realm a while longer. Before Hoojin finally left, he went back to the old crooked neck tree next to the mass grave and told Ju the Fox the good news. That place is a residence just like an immortal's cave mansion. Ju the Fox was under the crooked neck tree, holding his head up listening to Hoojin's description, and was already extremely eager for it. They all started packing their things one by one. They didn't actually have much stuff, just some tattered clothes and hats. Foxes often wear human clothes and human hats. Then asked their companions, "Do I look like a human to you?" Then stand up pretentiously and walk like a human. They also had some copper coins, books for learning characters, and broken toy marbles that kids threw away. The foxes couldn't bear to leave any of it, so they packed every single thing up to take with them. When night fell, the 4 cultivated foxes turned into human form. 2 walked at the front. 2 at the back carried bundles. In the middle were the non-cultivated adult and baby foxes. Around 7 or 8 of them lined up in a neat row. And just like that, they moved away from the old crooked neck tree. Even though the fox den under the old crooked neck tree was nothing special, Huduxu still couldn't bear to leave it. He took great pains to find a stone to block the entrance, thinking that they might come back someday. Hoojin scolded him, "If you block the door, what if other foxes want to move in later? Leave some kindness for others." In the end, they only half-covered the den entrance. They headed towards the Fox Immortal altar that Liu Kong set up at Shah Erzu's house. Hujin led the way holding a red paper sticker. Surprisingly, no dogs came barking at them, so they arrived at the village safely. At this quiet house in the corner, Zhu the fox had never lived in a human house before. The second he walked in, he rolled around all over the place excitedly. Hujin taught Huduxiu and the others to kowtow to Dharma Master Li Shigong and attach their thoughts to the names on the Fox Immortal family register. Then the little cultivated foxes also entered the Dharma realm. They were stunned by the strange scenery where everything appears the second you think of it. What kind of place is this? It really is an immortal's cave mansion. Then one of them conjured a flower, another conjured a blade of grass. But their thoughts weren't focused enough, so the things they conjured didn't last long. Unlike Ban the fox, who received enlightenment, who already has almost 100 years of cultivation, he's way more intelligent and knowledgeable, no less than an average human. Hujin stopped them from messing around further and started laying down the rules. The good fortune we have today is all thanks to the Zhu family, but none of you are allowed to run your mouths off about this outside, especially to other foxes like Huagi. If you cause any trouble, don't wait for the Zhu family to say anything. I'll pierce your necks myself and skin you alive. Huduxiu, Hudelu, Hubutang. The three foxes jumped in fright, nodded again and again. The cruelest torture for foxes is being skinned alive. Fox fur is really valuable, especially fur peeled off live foxes is worth far more. Some of their underdeveloped fellow foxes were caught by hunters before the hunters never kill them right away. They take them home alive. Cultivated foxes would follow behind, hoping to rescue their kind. But they only see the fox pierce through the neck with an iron hook, hanging on a wooden rack, then get its whole skin peeled off while still alive. The fox is even still breathing at that point. If they don't kill it quickly, it can scream in the wind for a whole hour. Even if it dies from the pain right away, the skinned body still twitches nonstop. The foxes watching this are terrified but completely helpless. Hunters keep 7 or 8 mountain hunting dogs with them, and they aren't afraid of fox spirits' magic at all. They have their own mountain taming spells, made specifically to defeat mountain spirits and monsters. Threatening them with this is already the harshest warning possible. Seeing them trembling with fear, Hujin softened his tone. Only a few of us can turn into humans and go out during the day, but the 3 of you don't have enough cultivation. Dogs can easily pick up your scent. One bite from them and you'll probably revert to your true form. So try to go out as little as possible. Tend to the backyard vegetable garden when you're free. We can sell the vegetables at the morning market later. Also get fully familiar with the situation on the back hill. Place the younger uncultivated foxes in the safe caves on the back hill. Don't let them live with us. The most important rule is you must never open the portal in the magic boundary to the outside. Our power is still too weak. There are tons of dangers outside. Evil spirits and demons might even force their way through the portal and take over this place. We'd be so humiliated if that happens. Got it.
Do you understand me?
Hujin finally relaxed at that. He started communicating with Liu Kong, who set up the shrine for them. As soon as Hujin's consciousness entered the ritual space, inside the lineage system, he found a silk thread connecting his clan to Liu Kong. That means Liu Kong is his mortal medium. Through this silk thread, Hujin can cast the dream-entering spell from far away, send dreams to Liu Kong, lend him magic powers, or even directly possess him with his consciousness. Liu Kong was sleeping at that moment. In his dream, he was fighting an old demon. Hey, old demon, I'll stab you. White blade goes in, red blade comes out. I'll stab your heart. White blade goes in, green blade comes out. I'll stab your gallbladder. White blade goes in, yellow blade comes out. I'll stab your gut. He was fighting excitedly when the old demon suddenly vanished. A huge fox appeared in its place. This fox had bright red fur all over its body, with a tuft of golden fur between its eyebrows. It looked kind and gentle, with a divine sense of beauty. Young Master Liu, I'm the fox spirit you met last night. Thank you for setting up the shrine to worship my clan. From now on, we'll do our best to help you and cultivate the great path together. Liu Kong immediately sobered up in the dream. Sure, no problem at all. I've taken Brother Li as my master. Brother Shu said you're his guardian Dharma. We're definitely on the same side. Hujin smiled and said, That's absolutely perfect. Would it be okay if I call you senior brother? Heh, is that appropriate? After all, I'm his junior. He should call himself my disciple. Hujin then said, Let's not fuss over these formalities. We can just get along as friends. Young Master Liu, let me explain to you now how to borrow my magic powers and spells. If you need to borrow my power, you just need to draw a fire mark on your forehead, hold a stick of incense in your hand, and chant my name 3 times silently. Your body is too weak. So you can only borrow the power from 1 year of my hard cultivation. It'll run out after you cast 1 or 2 spells. As for the spells, I have a total of 5 spells that you can borrow. First is the ghost driving spell. It can control wandering ghosts, but it can't drive away vicious ghosts. This spell can solve regular possession cases. Even if you can't drive away a vicious ghost, you can still communicate with it. Second is the deception spell. The deception spell is a type of illusion, a small trick that blocks other people's sight. It can't actually hide things or make you completely invisible. It only works on regular, ordinary people. Third is the illness curing spell. This spell can treat some minor ailments, but it works best when used together with regular medicine. I use it most often to stop pain and bleeding for the younger generation. Fourth is the corpse divination technique. It only works for basic divination. I can rely on nature's warning signals for danger to judge whether a situation is auspicious or ominous, but it is not always accurate. Fifth is the charm technique. This method can control people's minds, but if it gets broken, you will suffer certain backlash. Remember never to use it on wicked people. These 5 magic arts can be cast by you if you silently recite the precepts. As for possession, I'm probably not allowed to possess others randomly. It does too much harm to your body. In case of extreme emergency, just say, "Fox Immortal, save me," and I will possess you right away. With that, the huge fox ran off into the distance. It got smaller and smaller gradually, until it completely vanished. I woke up early in the morning, feeling super energetic. First, I mastered the basics of the turtle breathing technique smoothly. Second, the feng shui formation works really well. It gathers vital energy around. The nourishing effect is even better than eating a whole old hen. After rinsing my mouth, I drank 2 bowls of meat congee. I smiled and asked Xiaohong, "Were you scared at all? Did you sleep well last night?" "Yes, young master. For some reason last night, I felt a bit uneasy in the first half of the night, but later I drowsed off and slept really comfortably. I felt so nice when I woke up early this morning. I arranged an empty room between yours and the maid's room, so it is naturally quieter here. From now on, you only need to serve me alone. If any other maids ask you to help with their work, you can totally ignore them." "Thank you so much, young master." Xiaohong got really happy right away. "Has the lamb been bought?" "You already told Madame about this, right?" "Madame invited Dr. Li over today. We have to wait until Dr. Li checks your pulse first. After all, a lamb is not cheap. It is not like a chicken or a duck. When you raise those up, you get 20 to 30 jin of meat. A little lamb only weighs around 10 jin. I nodded. Dr. Li came to check my pulse early in the morning. He felt my pulse and looked really surprised. "Young master, you are recovering really well. It is like you have been resting for over 10 days already. Last time I checked, your pulse was as faint as a thread. Now, even though it is slow and weak, it is no longer thin and faint. And it is very steady. It is like an elderly person's pulse. Way better than before." Then Madame Li took the herbal recipe I wrote for medicinal mutton soup and showed it to the doctor. "What do you think of this recipe?" The doctor frowned. "Why are you asking me to judge another doctor's recipe? Every doctor has their own way of treating patients. We come from different schools of medicine, and our medical theories are different. How am I supposed to judge this?" But when he saw it was not a prescription for illness, but a nourishing recipe, his eyes immediately went wide. "This recipe is absolutely brilliant. It gently nourishes qi and blood, boosts positive young energy, and strengthens the body's core vitality. Only wealthy families can afford to use this. It looks like it came from some big noble family. Can my son use it?" "Of course he can. Even you and the master can take it regularly too, but you cannot take it when the weather gets hot. It works best for nourishment when the weather is cold. Of course, the young master is physically weak. His body is as cold as ice even in summer, so he can still take it for nourishment then. May I ask where you got this recipe? Can I copy it down? To study it carefully when I get back." "Go ahead and copy it." I came across it in an old book by chance. "It would be worth it if it can be used to save people." The doctor asked again. "May I know which old book it was? Can I take a look at it as reference?" I smiled and said nothing. The doctor got the message immediately. Silence means rejection. There is no need to say it out loud. Pardon my rudeness just now. I will come back to check the young master's pulse in a few days. The doctor was pretty concerned about my condition. Madam Lee walked him out and asked, Doctor, what did you find wrong last time? Can you tell me in detail? Why did you ask us to invite Taoists and monks to come check? Dr. Lee did not say a word. He shook his head and said, There are some things I do not understand either. It is just that there are many extraordinary people. Among monks and Taoists, maybe there is a slim hope for recovery. There is no other meaning. Do not overthink it, madame. Then he said goodbye and left. After the pulse check, I went to the main hall. To check the changes in feng shui, look up at the skywell. There are already a bunch of birds perched on that gourd. That's because living creatures naturally love places full of vibrant energy. They're absorbing the good energy here. And the water in the hall started flowing on its own, turning into running water. There's only a malicious glare trapped inside it. Caught by the feng shui array, its evil aura is continuously being dissolved and turned into vital energy. I divined that I'm going to face a disaster. Even though this carving reeks of evil aura, it doesn't have much spiritual intelligence. I turned its evil energy to my advantage. It instead nurtures more vital energy. That means the real mastermind isn't here. So my disaster hasn't been averted yet. The biggest variable for this disaster is my primordial soul, and that Taoist who pried open his own coffin lid. How can you call this a gathering of heroes with only one person? Jianying has already been sent out to gather intel, but the fox spirits and the little chubby guy can't sit around either. They need to improve their strength as soon as possible. I left this place and went into the Li family's study. Li Fu was inside reading essays. He looked up when I came in and looked really pleased. Don't wear yourself out too much. Take a break when you need to figure out how this world works. I have to read more books. Otherwise, it'll be a problem if I don't get the historical facts right. Plus, reading kills time when I'm bored. I can't just lie around all day after all. After saying that, I picked up the Daning edition of Benjing Tongi and started reading. The perk of having a powerful spirit is a photographic memory. The downside is it gives you high blood pressure easily. If you overwork your brain, your temples feel all swollen, throbbing nonstop, and you get dizzy easily. Since I have a photographic memory, I flip through books really fast. That caught Li Fu's attention. He saw that in less than 15 minutes. I finished a whole book and put it back on the shelf, then pulled out another one. He started muttering to himself. Didn't he come to find this book to read? Why is he flipping every single page? Even speed reading isn't this fast. The second book I picked was Anthology of Ancient and Modern Essays. The pre-Qin essays in it are exactly the same as I remember. After the Great Chu dynasty was founded, there are a lot of authors I don't recognize, and essays I've never seen before. It's no big deal, though. I'll just cram them all into my brain first. After scanning through the book like a machine, I put the second book back on the shelf and picked up the third one. Regular scholarly families don't have history books at all, so I can't get an accurate picture of history from Li Fu's book collection. After all, only super wealthy families can afford to study history. If you really want to learn history, you have to borrow books from families with large collections, or visit famous scholars to get them to teach you. Li Fu was obsessed with official rankings in his early years. Most of his books are essay writing guides. You know, the kind of study guides made purely for passing the imperial exams. As for what actually happened in history, he doesn't know much. His understanding is very vague. He also hasn't read any famous essays written after the pre-Qin period. I don't have any other options anyway. So I opened this third book, Jitai Era, Qing'an Prefecture Provincial Graduate Essay Collection. When I heard Li Fu say, "You're being way too ambitious. Why are you reading these provincial graduate essays? You're flipping through the pages so fast. How much of it are you actually absorbing? Is it because I told you to rest earlier? That you're putting on an act for me? I didn't even look up. If I've flipped through it, of course I've absorbed it." Li Fu held back his anger. What a big mouth, let me ask you. Restrain yourself and follow the rites is benevolence. How would you open this essay? I smiled slightly and started searching my memory. I don't need to adapt anything. I just need to recite it directly. I opened my mouth and said, "Restrain yourself and follow the rites, and you will cultivate your virtue internally and display proper etiquette externally. This is the ambition of a gentleman. As for restraining oneself, it doesn't mean cutting off all desires and emotions. It means setting aside personal desires to uphold public justice. This topic is pretty standard, but the theme is very broad. It's essentially asking about human nature. But earlier I read all the books that my past self left in my room, and just finished 2 or 3 of Lifu's study guides. Plus I lived for over 100 years in my past life. I've read some Confucian classics before, so I just combined all that knowledge now. I guess it's showtime. I know Lifu has doubts about me, but if I can fulfill his long-cherished wish, earn an official rank through the imperial exam, or help my dad become a successful official, by assisting him to pass the exam, all his doubts will fade away completely, because that's a real tangible benefit. This official title is also an honor for the entire Li family. Of course, I could also leave this family behind, wander all around the world, and practice cultivation alone. But that's just not the kind of person I am. Besides, if I feel guilty about it, that will create another karmic debt. Father Li listened to my answer, and his tone softened right away. Not bad, though you haven't improved a lot. You haven't forgotten what you've learned either. You'll definitely pass the Xiukai exam for sure. But don't get arrogant about it. Stop showing off your cleverness. Stay down to earth if you want to go further. You've had a talent for studying since you were little, but you need to put that talent to good use and work even harder than before. Otherwise, you're just wasting your talent, and you'll never achieve anything great. There's a chest in my room, with hand-copied Jinshi essays and policy papers I had someone bring from the capital. Though the questions are from the special imperial exam 3 years ago, they're no longer in fashion. But when you read essays, you don't focus on the surface details. Just studying their structure is enough for you to ponder over for a long time. Since you like reading these, I'll bring all of them to you tomorrow. I don't really like this kind of nagging lecture. Probably because it reminds me of my past self who loved acting like a know-it-all. But I never expected a Siyukai's family would have a collection of Jinshi essays. That's a really nice surprise. Looks like the printing industry in this world is already pretty well developed. There goes another money-making skill I could have used. I'm not actually obsessed with official ranks. Just passing the Jurin exam is enough for me. I only want the status and reputation that comes with it. The Jurin status can help me a lot with my cultivation. Besides, Jurin usually can't get official positions, unless you pay to get one. With this status, I can do whatever I want around the county, as long as I don't openly go against the government for any small to medium requests. As long as I say the word, someone will get it done right away. Jurin can also run all kinds of businesses, which Siyukai are not allowed to do. Cultivation cost me tons of money, which I already expected beforehand. Whether I earn an official title myself or help Lifu pass the exam, it'll be enough to cover my expenses in the early stage of cultivation. Either way, earning an official title is an extremely profitable investment. I saw Lifu wouldn't stop his lecture anytime soon, so I cut him off after finishing the book and asked, "Dad, besides the rent from our 100 mu of fertile farmland, do we have any other sources of income? We also lend out some money for interest." Father Li was a bit stunned by the interruption. He was just about to ramble on about how a clever child often grows up to be mediocre, to motivate me to study harder. He also hoped I'd become a successful man. Watch me pass the Jurin and Jinshi exams. Then I frowned. Any other income? Why are you asking about this? You never asked about this before. I'm sick now, and recovering my health will cost a lot of money. So of course I have to ask. If I'm going to make the family go broke, I'll cut back on my expenses. If we can afford it, I'd better eat more nutritious food to recover faster. Your grandfather was pretty wealthy back then, but he suffered a huge loss later. So he sold off all his assets, not even keeping his merchant ships. He only kept this house, and the 100 mu of fertile farmland as our family property. When your mom married into our family, she brought 10 mu of mulberry fields as her dowry. According to past financial records, just from the 100 mu of farmland, we get about 100 taels of silver in rent every year. More in good harvest years, less in bad harvest years. After paying taxes, we have around 80 taels left. But after paying the servants' wages, the gifts for the county government during festivals, our family's daily food and clothing expenses, and social gifts, most of the money is gone. If we live frugally all year round, we can save about 20 to 30 taels of silver. The 10 mu of mulberry fields can feed enough silkworms. We harvest cocoons twice a year. If nothing goes wrong, we can produce 200 to 300 jin of raw silk. With this raw silk, your mom weaves it into silk fabrics with the female servants. We get around 50 to 60 bolts of fabric, which earns us about 30 to 40 taels of silver. After hearing all this, I only had one thought in my head. Even the landlord doesn't have extra grain to spare. I looked at our big house, which takes up 2 to 3 mu of land. I thought we were living a much wealthier life than this. Father Lee heard his son caring about these things, and didn't think he was neglecting his proper duties. After all, if you can't keep your own house in order, how can you govern the whole world? Running a family is the same as running a country. Though saving 50 taels of silver a year is already a lot. But if you do the math carefully, there's actually not much surplus left. The two of us, father and son, are scholars. We need to buy ink and brushes and pay for your study fees, or buy newly published books and essays. Even if we don't buy new books, just hiring someone to copy books is also a big expense. It's even more expensive than food and clothing costs. I fell even more silent. After counting back and forth, we can barely make ends meet every year. We might even end up with a budget deficit. That damn Taoist Huang. Didn't he say I'd be reborn into a moderately wealthy family that could support my early stage cultivation? Am I supposed to cultivate when this poor broken family goes bankrupt? Father Lee saw my obvious disappointment and even disgust on my face. His temple twitched a little. He somehow blurted out, "Of course, your grandfather left some savings from his business days." My eyes lit up again immediately. I asked right away how much there was. Father Lee regretted it instantly. He originally planned not to tell me. You know, we don't fear thieves stealing. We fear our own son has his eyes on the family money. Since you've asked, I'll take you to have a look. After taking a deep breath, he stood up. Come with me. He led me towards the back room. There was a side room in the back, which had been converted into a latrine with a public toilet bucket inside. Father Lee moved the toilet bucket aside, lifted the wooden board, and there was actually a hidden cellar entrance. Father Lee led me down the steps, and we felt our way in the dark to 2 chests, one big and one small. Father Lee opened the chests first, then lit the firefold, and the whole place was lit up immediately. The big chest was stacked full of silver. The small one was stacked full of gold. They were all reflecting the light right now, shining with a dazzling treasure glow. This is the silver your grandfather left behind. There are 2,000 taels of silver and 100 taels of gold. Each gold bar is 5 taels. There are 20 gold bars in total. Each silver ingot is 20 taels, cast into standard ingot shape. There are 100 ingots in total besides. Our house deed, land deed, and farm deed are all stored here too. This is me showing you all our family's cards, Father Lee said. Your grandfather originally saved this money for when I passed the imperial exam, to arrange a small real power official position after I became a jurin. But we never ended up using it. Now I have the same plan for you. Once you pass the exam and become a jurin, you can do whatever you want with this money. As for taking care of your health, your mom and I have separate savings of 200 taels that we've saved up over the years. Unless you're eating ginseng and antler slices like they're rice, no matter how meticulous your care is, it's enough for you for 1 or 2 years. I thought to myself, 1 or 2 years. I can blow through all of it in 1 or 2 months. If we add all these family savings, then lasting 1 or 2 years makes sense. I stared at this gold and silver, estimating how long they'd last me. Then I opened my mouth and asked, Dad, have you just been living off our savings this whole time? No plans to make more money? Father Lee said, I've thought about it. If we exchange the money for farmland, we can definitely make passive income from it. But the Imperial Court has regulations. We already hit the maximum limit for farmland ownership. As for doing business, I'm just not cut out for that. I'd probably lose all the money instead. Now I'm only hoping to fulfill your grandfather's last wish, to change our family's fate through the Imperial exam. By becoming a jurin and getting a good social status. It's been 5 years since your grandfather passed away, and 2 years since your grandmother passed away. Next year, our mourning period will be officially over. The 2 of us can take the Imperial exam together. Father Lee is actually just a little over 40 years old. He's still in his prime. Even if he takes the exam until he's 60, he can still take it 4 or 5 more times. After hearing him say that, I knew I couldn't touch this money for the time being. I thought to myself, no matter how much I adjust the house feng shui, it can't magically make someone a jurin. Both of us are studying full-time without working. If neither of us passes the exam, in just a few years, all our family savings will be gone sooner or later. How am I supposed to spend money on my cultivation then? Should I go adjust the ancestral grave then? To boost the Lee family's official luck and academic luck, feng shui techniques are divided into yang house and yin house feng shui. I'm good at yang house feng shui and setting up cultivation ashrams for living people. I'm pretty mediocre when it comes to graveyard feng shui. But even this mediocre level is better than most ordinary feng shui masters. It's actually the Taoist belief of valuing mortal life that drives this mindset. As long as you live comfortably when you're alive, that's enough. Why bother with things that affect your descendants after you die? I prioritize the present far more than the afterlife. Besides, in my past life, you weren't allowed to tamper with ancestral graves randomly anyway. Digging up your ancestors' remains and moving them somewhere else isn't a decision one person can make alone. Since it's no use for my own family, I had even less reason to research it. But my disciples from my past life were extremely interested in this kind of stuff. They often worked for people in power. And super wealthy, influential families checking their home feng shui. After making huge sums of money assessing graveyard feng shui, they would buy all kinds of supplies needed for cultivation and various rare treasures to offer to me. Back when I built my ashram in San Francisco, USA, all the materials used were disassembled Ming Dynasty buildings, restored Ming Dynasty murals that were relocated, all kinds of Taoist inscribed stone carvings, and ancient classics filled the whole space. There were also antique ritual artifacts and lineage inheritances from all Taoist sects. After setting up the urban ashram, I could even project my soul out in broad daylight once it was completed, and travel through the Dharma realm. It's just that the Dharma realm on Earth is totally chaotic, and the US is full of demons everywhere, with evil spirits running wild. To build this ashram, I even followed the example of the first celestial master, just like he subdued the ancient ghosts of the six heavens, vanquishing demons and eliminating evil. To maintain order in the area, after the San Francisco ashram in the US was completed, it didn't let me down. Though it's not a natural blessed cave paradise, it's still an immortal residence. When I lived there, my vitality didn't fade as I grew older. Instead, my wisdom became more and more complete. That's how I was able to, at nearly 100 years old, successfully complete my golden core breakthrough. My cultivation level was no lower than figures like Zhang Sanfeng. I'm just not as good at fighting as Zhang Sanfeng was, and I didn't pass the final demonic trial illusion either. Li Fu saw. I was lost in thought and asked, "What's wrong? Is the county and prefecture exam too stressful for you?" I shook my head and left the spot. If I want to make money, I have to rely on Liu Kongchang. Li Fu saw I clearly wasn't counting on him, and got a little annoyed. "What's that head shake supposed to mean? Are you saying I can't pass the exam? Or you can't pass it? Or do you think our family's savings are too little?" The two of them left the cellar. Li Fu put the bricks back in place, and put the public bucket back where it belonged. Now that I knew the exact state of the family's finances, I had a clear plan in mind, and intended to make a detailed future cultivation plan. I went back to my room first, tapped and massaged my acupressure points for a while, then held a slice of ginseng in my mouth, and started resting with my eyes closed. Saying I was resting was just an excuse. I was actually processing all the books I'd read. If you want to cultivate immortality, aside from relying on offerings from others, you mostly have to rely on yourself. I sat with my eyes closed for nearly an hour, carefully going over and absorbing all the content from the books I'd memorized. Too bad there's no progress bar for this. Otherwise, I'd know exactly how far I've gotten. Right as I finished processing everything, Xiao Hong pushed the door and came in. "Young master, the master and madam said they'll give you 2 taels of silver every month for your personal use." Xiao Hong was super happy about it, but I kept a completely straight face. 2 taels of silver. That's enough to cover the monthly expenses for an average family of 3 in the county town. But to me, it's basically nothing. After all, just buying a whole lamb to eat costs more than 1 tael of silver. Seeing I wasn't excited about it, Xiao Hong added again. "The master said food and medicine costs don't count towards this. These 2 taels are your personal monthly allowance, young master." "Got it. Go collect the money first. Then go to the apothecary and buy me 2 liang of cinnabar, 1 liang of angelica root. Then go to the paper goods shop and buy some candles, incense, and joss paper, and get a 3.6 chai long piece of red cloth too. Young master, what do you need all these things for? Don't ask, just go do it." My tone made Xiao Hong remember the ghost encounter we had that night, so she did as I told her obediently, and left to go buy the things I asked for. After Xiao Hong left, Liu Kongkong arrived at the Li family's house. Right after lunchtime, he couldn't wait to share his weird experience with me. "Brother Li, that fox was so huge. It was as big as a whole building." "Wait, how come that's totally different from the scraggly-haired old lady?" I saw. "That's the thought form of the fox spirit. Or rather, the form it wanted you to see. It will also cultivate towards this appearance in the future, with pure fur and a streak of gold between its eyebrows. As for the huge size, that's probably a shapeshift in the dream, or just your own subjective perception. Oh right, when I woke up this morning and thought about this dream, every detail was still so vivid in my mind. It felt completely real. Then I tried the spells the Fox Immortal taught me. I could cast them smoothly. Then I followed your instructions, Brother Lee. I bought roast chicken, grilled fish, some fruits and pastries, and went to the Fox Immortal Hall to offer sacrifices to the Fox Immortal. That fox spirit even showed up to meet me. After we ate the offerings together, I bit the bullet and read enlightenment primers for young kids. They actually listened with great interest, but it was total torture for me. Hoojin even asked me questions in the middle of it. Brother Lee, maybe you should go teach them yourself instead. I read for a whole hour. I was dozing off the whole time myself. I told them I would come back tomorrow and hurried over here to meet you. That's how I got away from there. But hey, I've mastered this cultivation technique, right? It's not a bad deal after all. That little fatty was showing off his petty tricks. He kept doing the same blinding spell over and over like it was a magic trick. I couldn't help mocking him. Mastered what? Have you forgotten? It's obviously this fox spirit who finished cultivating. That's why he is lending his power to you on his own will. You haven't even gotten the hang of the shamanism skills yet. You haven't realized that all things in nature have spirits. How can you say you've mastered it if he doesn't lend you his power? Can you even cast any spells? This technique works both ways. If the fox spirit is strong, he can help you improve too. Every time you gain a little more Taoist power, the fox spirit can benefit from it as well. Right now, he is basically carrying you the whole way. The efficiency is super low, so I haven't mastered it yet. The little fatty looked a bit disappointed. I asked him again, where is the Fox Immortal Hall located? It's not at the Liu Mansion. It's at Silly Erzu's house. I thought for a second after hearing that. That's no big deal. It's even better that it's at the place you mentioned. There's a mountain right behind it too. I'll have someone buy the tools needed for the altar ceremony. I'll go with you today. I'll do the mountain calling ritual for you, so you can get initiated today and improve side by side with Hoojin and cultivate together. The little fatty scratched his head. What's mountain calling? Every mountain has its own soul. We call them mountain ghosts or mountain spirits or mountain gods. Mountain calling is basically calling the soul of the mountain to make the mountain spirit resonate with you. It can pass the shamanism skills to you like an initiation, so you can get started all at once. It can not only improve your spiritual sensitivity, but also help you better understand nature. But this place isn't a proper temple. That's why it's just a regular house. If there was a proper temple, even if it's just a small earth god temple, it could manifest a spiritual realm covering hundreds of acres. As for the spiritual realm outside the cave, it is indeed a bit dangerous. But I'll teach you a special hand seal technique now. If the mountain calling works, you write down the position of this mountain's lord on the genealogy list. The power of this method lies in that shamanism believes that all things have spirits. Mountains have mountain gods. Rivers have river gods. After you do the mountain calling, if there's a god, you can worship it. If there isn't, you can create one. Gather the spiritual power of the mountain and create a natural spirit god directly. The little fatty thought it sounded amazing, even though he didn't fully get it. I said casually. This method is a quick fix trick from the unorthodox sects. It's also a secret technique that's not passed down freely in shamanism. When your spiritual power increases suddenly, you'll be able to see wandering ghosts and hear sounds you couldn't hear before. It's easy to get disoriented and absent-minded. But if you have the Fox Immortal protecting you, you don't have to worry about these side effects. Xiao Hong soon bought all the things we needed. I told the little fatty to hire a cart to haul all the stuff over there together. Madam Lee didn't want me to go out at first, so I said, if I don't go out, how will people know I'm a real living person? Madam Lee had to give in and gave me the amulet she'd prayed for. Take this with you. This amulet doesn't even have any spiritual aura on it. It's just for peace of mind anyway. As soon as I left the house, I faintly felt that someone was watching me, but I already had a plan in mind. I didn't tell anyone about it. No need to cause unnecessary worry. After Liu Kong and I arrived at that house, I saw the layout of the place. I was really shocked. There's such a big tree blocking the front door, and the entrance path is slanted too. This place doesn't hold positive energy at all. How could anyone think of building a house like this? Didn't anyone warn him? This layout is called the heart-piercing evil in Yangjai Feng Shui. First of all, there's not enough natural light coming in. It also blocks the flow of yang qi and easily causes stagnation of yin qi. The front gate is where vital energy enters and exits. If the big tree blocks this vital energy, the tree will gobble up the family's fortune. The tree itself can also form a Trisha curse. It doesn't just affect this household. It may even ruin the whole village's feng shui layout. I looked around this tree and asked Erju, "This is your family's house after all. How old is the tree?"
Do you know?
Silly Erzu shook his head. "No idea. I reckon it's at least 70 or 80 years old. Its roots probably spread 3 or 4 li far." The three of us entered via the slope path and walked into the courtyard. The tree canopy was like an umbrella. It completely covered this small yard. The fox spirit sensed my arrival and had already turned into an old lady waiting in the yard. "Your disciple greets Master Li." I waved my hand and said, "I came to check your altar space. I thought if you arranged it as I told you, it would be decent at the very least. Now it doesn't look like an immortal cave at all. It looks more like a dark ghost den. Thanks for your concern, Master Li. But we all think it's pretty good. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's quiet and safe here. There's also a mountain behind. We can run there anytime if needed." I nodded. I was looking at it from a human's perspective. But from an animal's point of view, it's a totally different story. Besides, these foxes originally practiced unorthodox wild fox cultivation. It's no surprise they like this kind of place. The fox spirit also peed under the old tree at the door and used it as a medium to cast a concealment spell. It's only because I made a pact with her and formed a karmic bond, plus Liu Kongkong is her disciple medium, that we weren't affected by the spell. Is the copper coin I left for life borrowing last time still here? Yes, it is. Hu Jin quickly took out a copper coin and handed it to me carefully. I took the coin. I didn't plan to ask for it back originally, but I still have use for this copper coin now. I put it away and walked into the inner room. There was only one altar inside, with a Fox Immortal Hall plaque hanging, and the immortal genealogy list. There were only Lord Faju on it, Master Li and 4 foxes. It was really a tiny lineup. You know, for any altar of Northeast Chuma immortals, there are at least 20 to 30 immortals enshrined. Some even enshrine over 100. So I said to Liu Kongkong, "Add Zhenying to the genealogy list later. It's a sparrow spirit. It stays with me and helps gather intel." Liu Kongkong nodded. As for how to add a name to the list, he already knew the whole process. I casually sat on the main seat and asked about the tasks I assigned them earlier to see if they did their research properly. "Hu Jin, I told you to look into that Taoist's whereabouts, as well as any local shamans or witches around, or cultivated spirits with powers and the like. Did you get any results?" Hu Jin stepped forward and said, "I asked surrounding birds using bird language, and got some leads. But I haven't confirmed them yet. That's why I didn't report to you, Master." "No problem, go ahead." According to an old fox, after that Taoist left the mass grave, he headed for Yushan Mountain. Yushan is the holy cultivation site of Yushan County. There are Taoist and Buddhist temples there. The Taoist temple is Shanju Temple. They worship the mountain god there. The Buddhist temple is Daizeng Nunnery. We are low-level cultivators after all. We only move around the Qingtian Township area. We have never been to Yushan, so we have to find other ways to get more info. Another thing is the origin of that hanging ghost. We also found info on that. It was 2 months ago. He hanged himself in the small woods outside Lizhuang village. The villagers pooled money later and invited a Taoist from Shanju Temple in Yushan to send him off. That's exactly the Taoist we are looking for. I nodded and praised that these 2 pieces of info were very important. Hu Jin sighed in relief and continued. "As for the local cultivators you asked us to look into, we have a rough idea already, but the details are not complete yet. There are 11 villages in this township. Every village has shamans and witches, but some of them are just scammers. Less than 5 of them actually have real powers. As for spirits like us, I know of 4 so far. They are a chicken spirit, pig spirit, rat spirit, and cow spirit. That chicken spirit was originally a fighting cock raised by a rich family. After it gained spiritual power, it pecked out one of its original owner's eyes. After it ran away, it pretends to be a domestic chicken to scrounge for food on normal days. If it gets spotted, it will turn right around and peck the person all bloody. Once it gained enough power, it seized the Qingfeng Pavilion and ruled there as a tyrant. It hung out with a flock of wild pheasants. This creature has ruffled fur all over. Its claws are as hard as metal, and its sharp beak is like an awl. It's super hard to mess with. Its original owner paid good money for 2 hunters and 2 martial artists from the martial school, but none could catch it. Foxes love eating chickens. Even fox spirits say it's hard to deal with. They must have fought with it before. That pig demon used to be a domestic sow that gave birth to several piglets every year. After it became a spirit, it chose to stop wasting its energy giving birth to cubs. But one night it heard its owner say it was old, and they would kill it to make cured meat, and sell it the next year. So it bit through the fence and ran away, feeding on rotting corpses. It's the largest and oldest among all pig demons. I have talked to it quite a few times before. The rat demon is the weirdest one. It came from 5 rats whose tails got tangled together. The biggest one bit the other 4 to death, and ate all of them. Since then, it commands all the rats, and became the Rat King. It stays underground most of the time, and is good at teleportation spells and plague spells. As for the ox demon, it was plowing the field one day, when it suddenly went crazy. It gored its owner till his guts spilled out, then ran away. It lives in Juji Valley now. The local government once sent people to subdue it, but it managed to escape. I got a rough idea after hearing all that. Except for that old black pig, who has an honest and gentle personality. None of them are good people. Of course, it's up to Master's decision. If Master can enlighten them, I shook my head. I don't follow the Buddhist way, the whole put down the butcher's knife, and become a Buddha immediately thing. After saying that, I asked about the altar matter again. The altar is already set up now. Have you entered the Dharma realm yet? I have already entered the Dharma realm. It's really like a fairy cave residence. Hoojin immediately described the scenes in the Dharma realm. I nodded. That's the benefit of building a temple and a fairy dojo. You can use the fierce spirit soldiers who will protect you as you travel around the Dharma realm and explore the surrounding areas. Refining fierce spirit soldiers requires absorbing evil spirits from mountains and rivers and marking your own evil thoughts on them to turn them into fierce spirit soldiers. This way, your thoughts will become purer, and your cultivation speed will increase. The fierce spirit soldiers carry your evil thoughts, so they are connected to your mind. As your cultivation level gets higher, the fiercer the fierce spirit soldiers will be. They can explore the Dharma realm for you, pass on messages, and catch evil ghosts. Hoojin immediately realized after listening that this is an extremely powerful cultivation protection technique. Thank you for teaching me the spell, Master. If there's no god enshrined in the mountain, it's easy to attract evil spirits from the mountain, which is perfect for you to practice the fierce spirit summoning spell. But before that, I need to perform a ritual to purify the evil spirits first, suppress the 4 spirits, and appease the local land god. This is a civilian residence after all, and its feng shui is extremely bad. It can't fend off evil spirits and vengeful ghosts. It's a pity you don't have enough virtue, and your rank is not high enough, so you can only have people worship you secretly. You can't have public sacrifices. Otherwise, even a small temple or altar would be way better than the current situation, so I don't have to waste my energy doing it myself. Hoojin felt extremely guilty. I will work hard to cultivate my virtue, Master. I nodded. There's no rush for that. But you said those witches and shamans are mostly just faking supernatural powers. Then go scare them a little. Tell them to worship you. And you help them solve some problems. This way you can collect goodwill and incense offerings. To help your cultivation, it's a pretty viable shortcut. Hoojin had never thought of such a thing. Is this okay? Aren't those who pretend to be witches and shamans supposed to go to hell after they die? According to the underworld rules, we're actually saving them by doing this. After hearing that, Hoojin nodded immediately. Then I will go get this done tomorrow, Master. Let's put aside my instructions to these people for now. Since we need to call out to the mountain, we need to know the name of this mountain to complete the ritual. So I asked everyone present, does this back mountain have a name? Hoojin had already asked around about that and said, this mountain is called Jijuezi Mountain because it looks like a rooster's horn. There is a raised peak at the 3-way junction. It's not very high, roughly 100 to 130 meters high. I nodded. Since it has a name, there must be a god governing it. After all, every call of its name from people gets a response. That makes things a lot easier. Over there, Liu Kongchong has already followed my instructions to set up the ritual altar. Originally, the ritual altar is for paying respect to deities, but there's only a list of deities here. Its ancient origin traces back to my past life's temple, Lycalan Temple. So worshipping the god is basically worshipping myself. I skipped this step, but the altar worship ritual can't be omitted. I chose to worship the altar with Xuan water. This is pretty easy to do. First, take a sip of the ritual water, then spray the ritual water around the four sides of the altar. So I held the spell gesture and lifted the cup, spraying water while reciting the heaven and earth purification spell. After the altar was purified, I stuck incense sticks at the four corners. Then I soaked white paper in wine and dipped it in cinnabar. I pricked Liu Kongkong's fingertip to get a drop of blood with a needle. Hu Jing also voluntarily forced out a drop of blood. After grinding all these materials into ink, I started reciting magic spells again. First, the 3 purification spells, to purify the mouth, mind, and body. Before reciting, I also told Liu Kongchong and Hu Jin to memorize them carefully. They can follow this example when setting up altars in the future. After finishing reciting the spells, I asked Liu Tongchong, Hu Jin, and all the fox spirits to kneel and offer incense together, chanting praise to Dharma, Master Lord Li Shigong. I stood aside, reciting the incense offering spell. Right after I finished reciting, I could clearly hear the 2 people's silent prayers. I also remotely sensed the subtle connection between my past and present life. Sadly, I couldn't get the connection to work no matter how many times I tried. It seems I was really lucky last time I connected, to have borrowed the magic power successfully. Seeing that I failed to borrow magic power, I frowned slightly and brushed the thought aside. I just picked up the brush and started drawing talismans. Though I don't have magic power myself, I can directly use the magic power inside the fox spirits. The reason I asked them to worship me just now was to build this connection. The Dharma Master also responded in the position of Li Shigong, emitting a faint glow that resonated with my own energy. I recited the red brush spell again. Then I drew the talisman smoothly and quickly. First, I drew the 5 elements, 5 directions home protection talismans, including Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Gushin. Then I asked Silly Erzu to cooperate with the ritual. After all, this house belongs to him, not to Liu Kongchong. Setting up the barrier as the owner of the house can stabilize the 4 symbols and fix the 5 directions, so that evil spirits and monsters can't enter without permission. When we hold the mountain calling ritual later, all the evil ghosts, spirits, and negative energy from the mountain will be blocked. Only the real mountain god will be invited in. Silly Erzu followed my instructions and knelt to worship and offer incense to all 4 directions. While he was worshiping, I recited the spells at the same time, the land god purification spell and the 4 symbols spell. I walked around the house once and burned the Azure Dragon home protection talisman, Vermilion Bird home protection talisman, White Tiger home protection talisman, Black Tortoise home protection talisman. Then I burned the Gauchin home protection talisman in the yard, 5 protection talismans in total. When I needed to draw the mountain god summoning talisman for the mountain calling ritual, I couldn't be that casual anymore. It was even much more solemn. You could see me performing the Big Dipper step ritual, holding the sword spell gesture, reciting to the finished talismans. Mountains and lands are hollow. Mountain spirits and wild creatures obey my orders. I hadn't fully recovered my health yet. After doing all these rituals, my face turned a bit paler. After resting for a while, I handed the mountain god summoning talisman to Liu Kongkong. We'll stay here tonight. Also, my calamity this time will be triggered here ahead of schedule. Are you scared? Liu Kongkong was not scared at all. No, I'm not. Hu Jin, you enter the Dharma realm and prepare to cultivate long weapons. Follow my instructions. To refine the evil energy of the mountains and rivers, use it to purge evil thoughts. Du Shu, you 3 must protect the fox spirits. Don't be careless. I gave out the orders. All of them obeyed me respectfully. I performed the Big Dipper step ritual again. Holding the sword spell gesture, Liu Tongkong burned the Zhaojing mountain god talisman. There's a lit incense stick stuck on top of his head. I twitched my sword spell to destroy it. Liu Kongkong shivered violently. The life flames on both his shoulders went out right away, so he could see the Dharma realm and the drowsy overlapping scenes of the mortal world. He was so shocked and curious for a moment. He was just about to look around, but I shouted sharply, "Don't get distracted, chant after me. By the order of Lord Faju of Lingshan, this notice is for all spirits, mountains, rivers, and earth deities. Obey my command. Where is the mountain god of Jijuezi Mountain, the local lord of this area? Come to the altar right now. Those who don't show up will be eliminated. Those who disobey will be killed. Jijiruruling. In an instant, the mountain wind howled. It sounded like muffled thunder had been disturbed. Right after that, all birds grew restless. They all took off into the air. There is no actual mountain god on Jijuezi Mountain, but there are lots of wandering ghosts, spirits, and demons, and all kinds of evil deities here. Once I cast the spell like this, it's just like poking a hornet's nest, which makes all of them come over. The stagnant evil energy from unknown places and yin energy are all stirred up. A sudden thick fog spread all over the mountain. Countless ghost shadows loomed in the fog. Some looked like wild beasts, others looked like human figures. The dogs raised by villagers at the foot of the mountain were barking crazily at first, but soon they stopped barking and trembled all over. They tucked their tails and ran away in a panic. The village ancestral hall emitted red light. It connected with the kitchen stoves of every household, so every house seemed to have a faint glow. There is no such thing as a mountain god of Jijuezi Mountain, so these evil deities think whoever responds to the altar and takes the mission will be the mountain god of Jijuezi Mountain. Hudin Xingchen Dharma Realm Taoist site. Start refining the evil spirits as I told you. But what I saw was countless ghost shadows in front of the big tree. They were circling around the house, but they just couldn't find the entrance. Some of these ghosts were animal spirits. Some were human ghosts. Some looked like trees. Some looked like vines. And some were just a mass of black gas. All of them were staring at this house firmly. There were more than 100 of them in total, even though I set up the 4 symbols and 5 elements formation, not to mention the shooting hall. I hid the entrance, so those ghosts can't get inside. But if they start rioting, it's definitely not a good thing. What Liu Kongkong saw was even more terrifying. He saw the overlapping of the Dharma realm and the real world. It was all blurry, but it's exactly that blurriness that gives people room to imagine. Ox ghosts, pig ghosts, snake ghosts, plus tiny little chicken ghosts, cat ghosts, and dog ghosts. All of them carried yin energy and evil spirit. Staring at us covetously, I saw all these ghosts too, and I quickly noticed one ghost among them was different. This ghost was emitting black gas all over its body. Its face was sallow. It wore a hat on its head, which looked just like a grave mound. Its clothes were also earthy yellow. There was strong evil spirit between its eyes and brows, full of bitter hatred and resentment. The next second, some fragments of images flashed through my mind. The memories of my original body were awakened. It was the body and soul resonance. This is the soul of my original body. It also turned into a yin ghost, the yin earth evil. I realized immediately. My original body didn't die because the soul left the body. On the contrary, the soul was still in the body. It was just suppressed and trapped. So the body turned into a vegetative state. It didn't die until it was buried in the designated place, because my original body had already been refined into the earth evil among the 5 elements evil ghosts. 5 elements. Evil ghosts are made by killing people with special fates, in 5 different ways, and refining them into evil ghosts. The carving evil is the wood evil. My original body was buried alive in the mass grave, so it became the yin earth evil. 5 elements. Evil ghosts need to be refined, in the order of 5 elements overcoming each other. If there's a wood ghost first, then wood overcomes earth. Earth overcomes water, water overcomes fire. Fire overcomes metal, and metal overcomes wood, completing the cycle, so you can start refining from any of the 5 elements. I don't know how many ghosts that Taoist has refined. If the 5 elements are not complete, the 5 elements evil ghosts are not hard to deal with. If the 5 elements are already complete, then it'll be a big trouble. 5 elements. Evil is a very dangerous and vicious evil spirit, because most things in the world are acquired. 5 elements, including human bodies, houses, and feng shui. 5 elements. Evil ghosts can possess human bodies at will, seize people's 5 elements essence. People whose essence is seized can't even become ghosts after death. They can only be controlled by them, and become ghost prostitutes. After each of these 5 evils kills 4 people, they can turn into the 5 elements ghost clan. We need targeted methods to deal with these evil ghosts. If each of them kills 9 people, they are the low-rank soldiers of the 5 elements. They can grow stronger gradually this way. They can even massacre an entire city, and turn the human world into a ghost realm, and completely flip the balance of yin and yang. They will become the ghost kings of the 5 directions. Besides, 5 element evil ghosts can also move wealth around, sneak into people's homes as they please, and are not afraid of home guardian deities. I met an evil sorcerer who refined 5-element ghosts in my past life, but the Central Plains had very strict rules back then. Hurting others was absolutely forbidden. Only one sorcerer used an orphanage as cover, killed 5 young boys to refine 5-element ghost boys. My disciple was the one who ran into him first. My disciple couldn't beat him, so he came to get me for help. I've read a huge number of books, so I knew about this craft. It comes from the Yin Mountain sect. It's the most evil of all evil arts, and the vilest of all vile practices. The only way to break it is to use something outside the acquired 5 elements. Thunder and lightning fall outside this scope, so they can subdue all 5-element ghosts. Ancient thunder magic was extremely fierce and unmatched. When I mastered the great circulation skill, I was already old. And I was no longer a virgin, so I couldn't practice pure yang thunder magic. We don't have high-voltage electricity right now anyway. Practicing thunder magic also requires at least the small circulation skill to master the palm thunder technique. My guess is that evil Taoist hasn't successfully refined the 5-element evil spirits yet. First, it's really hard to find people with the right fates. Second, it all depends on luck. Only the green evil ghost and the carving evil have showed up this whole time. Also, during my calamity of returning to the living world, the carving evil was forced back really easily. When it snuck into the Zhu residence, I trapped it like a turtle in a jar. It couldn't escape at all. If he had already refined the 5-element evil ghosts, he would have been able to come and go as he pleased long ago. I rubbed the pressing coin in my hand. This coin is the key to defeating these ghosts. But where is that evil Taoist? Why hasn't he showed up yet? Terrifying yin energy from the Huahua Mountains came surging over. A nearly 10-foot-tall horn appeared beyond the group of ghosts. The Jijue mountain god. This thing reeked of yin evil all over. It hopped along, getting closer to the foot of the mountain with every hop. It doesn't have a physical body. It's actually an evil object, just like a ghost, because the locals all thought this mountain looked like a big horn. Their collective thoughts gave it a form, so it turned into this thing. My mountain calling ritual worked. This Jiju mountain god barely has any divinity at all. It's more like a monster. It's a collection of natural will, and also a collection of the locals' beliefs. Compared to other ghosts, it fits the characteristics of a mountain god the most. I stared at it, even though that huge horn sounded really delicious just thinking about it. But if it's nearly 10 feet tall, hopping around in the middle of the night, chasing after people non-stop, it's still super weird and scary. The home protection barrier didn't stop it at all. After all, I'm the one who summoned it. This tiny house is way too small to hold it. It stood motionless in front of the altar. It seemed like it didn't have its own will, but I knew it was watching the few people in the yard. It's learning and growing. It can feel curious too. If it wants to stomp someone to death, it can do it whenever it wants. This is the natural spirit from shamanist animism. The belief that all things have their own spirits. It has no acquired sense of right and wrong, but it can easily be influenced by acquired ideas of good and evil. So it's not actually a mountain god. It's just the mountain spirit that has the potential to become a mountain god. Liu Kong was also shocked. He was dazed, so I kicked him to snap him out of it. He immediately did as I told him and started communicating with the Jijuezi mountain god. 2 of his yang fires have gone out. Only the one on top of his head remains, and it's flickering too. Ling Xing also has the blessing of Hu Jin, the fox immortal. He quickly entered the stage of natural resonance. He felt the huge horn in front of him, but the full view of Jijuezi mountain appeared clearly in his mind. His spirit connected with the mountain spirit. Before the power of my altar can no longer subdue the Jijuezi mountain god. If we can't form a contract with it and finish the shamanist god summoning ritual, I'll use my backup plan. Luckily, the Jijuezi mountain spirit's acquired beliefs, after interacting with Liu Kong, were assimilated right away, and they formed a contract naturally. A Jijuezi mountain mark appeared on Liu Kong's body. The Jijuezi mountain god also started to change and condensed into a not very solid human form. It directly developed a human personality. I personally will consecrate the Jijuezi mountain. The position of mountain god was written into the divine genealogy, ranked on the same level as Hu Jin. The mountain god of Jijuezi mountain sensed this and took the form of a faceless man. He reached out and touched the divine genealogy. Then he entered right into the genealogy and got into the ashram space. Hu Jin was inside the ashram of the Dharma realm and suddenly saw this faceless man barge in, reeking of evil aura all over his body. Before he could even react, he followed my orders right away, extracted and refined the evil aura from the faceless man, and infused it with his own will. The Jijuezi mountain god also came into contact with Hu Jin's will and gained bestial nature as a result. His face gradually took a solid form, and finally looked up at the Dharma master at the very top. Maybe it was Gong Jiwei? Shining like a little sun, he was also the source of the entire Dharma realm. He reached out to touch it, but that was a whole other world. How could he touch the Jixuezi mountain inside the Dharma realm? Though the mountain god had gained personality from Liu Kongchong earlier, and bestial nature from the fox spirit, he couldn't obtain divinity from a higher level, or godhood to be exact. But I already started doing something about it, giving him an official name, be it Taoism or Buddhism, or shamanism, even the demon cults in the United States, or Shinto from Japan, all follow the ancient rule passed down from prehistoric times. That is, all demons, ghosts, and monsters. Even deities have their own true names. A true name is one of the sources of a deity's power. Mastering the true name allows you to interact with supernatural beings and ghosts. There's no way this mountain spirit can be called Jijuezi mountain god forever, right? For local Taoism, all deities have secret taboo characters for their names. So I combined the character for mountain ghost and a horn-shaped talisman symbol into a secret taboo name. This is his true name. The top part is the upper half of the Chinese character for thunder, like headwear. It represents issuing orders, meaning the heavens grant you this name. We take its initial sound. The mountain character part is the lower half of the Chinese character for moon. It represents the divine duty of the seventh earthly mountain god. We take its second sound. Ghost is his physical form. It is pronounced as its original sound, and the chicken claw symbol takes the combined sound of Ji and Ju, also pronounced Jue. From now on, this secret character for the deity, though it is only one character, has two syllables. The talisman is pronounced Lu Jue. This is a specially created character, with a specially created pronunciation, made exclusively for the deity's taboo name. After I created this character, I quickly drew a new talisman for the Zhaojing mountain god. Changed the local territory, Lord Jijuezi mountain god, to the local territory, Lord secret taboo name Lu Jue. Then I shouted loudly, "By the order of the Dharma Lord of Lingshan, I grant you your true name. Activate the talisman to show its power. Obey and you shall live. Disobey and you shall perish." Be quick to act as ordered. The Jijuezi mountain god in the Dharma realm let out a cry that sounded like Lu Jue. He obviously accepted the name. He just responded. The next second, his faceless face started to form clear facial features. He actually looked a bit like me. He had a human body with chicken claws. Dressed in black clothes, his expression was stiff. He didn't seem to have adjusted yet, holding a chicken claw as a weapon in his hand. Meanwhile, I felt my soul go weak for a second. My head started spinning. Looks like the naming was successful. My mana bar got forcefully deducted. Good thing it didn't deduct my HP bar. I forced myself through the discomfort and took the genealogy off the wall. On the back of the black ink writing, for the Jijuezi mountain god's position, I wrote this character with cinnabar on yellow paper, then pasted it on the corresponding spot. This is to consecrate the deity with sacred stuffing. This is the way to consecrate a portrait. It's just that we don't even have a portrait here, only a hall genealogy list, with his position listed on it, but this method still works. I created and mastered his secret taboo true name, so I can summon him whenever I want. The next second, he was summoned out and appeared in the mortal world. This Lu Jue already looks a bit like a Dharma protector god. At the same time, after getting his true name, he gained a spiritual soul, that is his true self and true spirit. He's no longer just a natural spiritual being, and is evolving into a personal god. All the ghosts are afraid of him. Though he may not have divinity in him yet, the status of a natural spirit god is higher than these ordinary ghosts and spirits, but they are only just afraid of him. They feel even more greed towards him. A dog ghost kept barking nonstop, couldn't hold back and was the first to pounce at him to bite. Then all the ghosts pounced at once. It perfectly fits the hexagram of group yin eroding yang. I'm not worried at all that the divine general will lose. Earlier when he communicated with the mountain spirit, he got frozen stiff by the yin evil energy he carried. The little chubby boy restored the two yang flames on his shoulders. He even used the Big Dipper worship life-redeeming ritual. That divine general didn't let us down either. He swiped his chicken claw and sliced the dog ghost into several pieces. It turned into a cloud of yin energy. When other evil spirits bit him, It felt like biting into hard rock. They'd get flattened with a single pat from him. I gave him an order to catch the yin-earth evil ghost refined from a primordial soul. He strode off immediately, but he still kept his old habit of hopping around. Any evil spirit that dared to block his way got trampled to death right away. None of them could put up a fight at all. The primordial spirit made into the earth evil ghost had no intention of fighting at all. He immediately tried to escape using earth escape magic. But this is the territory of the mountain god. He was caught by the divine general the very next second. Then this Dharma-protecting divine general returned to the yard to report to me. This evil ghost was still restless even after being caught. He stared at me fiercely and let out vicious roars, but he clearly had no consciousness left. I sighed and took out that copper-pressing coin. The earth ghost was immediately sucked into the copper coin. He was suppressed and sealed inside. I wrapped the copper coin with a soul-calming talisman. I collapsed into a chair right away. That just now was pretty high-intensity ritual work. I summoned and directed divine beings, which used up a lot of my spiritual energy. My physical body just can't keep up with the energy consumption. This fits the problem of cultivating spirit, but not physical health, the top flaw in cultivation. I put the pre-prepared nutrient slices into my mouth. I practiced the tortoise hibernation breathing technique for a while to calm my mind. I felt better after about half an hour. At this moment in the yard, Liu Kongkong was already excitedly testing out his new spells. I borrowed the mountain spirit's power and helped him skip ahead and directly enter the cultivation threshold. He can not only borrow several spells from the fox spirit, but also use the innate powers blessed by the mountain god himself. The moon talisman gave him 2 innate magical powers. The first is nether visibility, which means he has opened his yin-yang eyes. This also gives him the ability to harm spiritual entities. The second is mountain chi prosperity. He naturally knows the flow of earth energy. This also works for boosting human chi, demon chi, ghost chi, and wealth and treasure chi. Both of these innate powers are super practical. The 5 small spells he can borrow from the fox spirit are even more convenient. How do you feel? I saw he was having fun playing around. So I asked him, now you can see all these previously invisible things? Does it affect you much? It does affect me a little, but it's nothing serious, Liu Kongkong said excitedly. I've finally cultivated successfully, right? I nodded and said, practice more when you get back. You can actively lower your spiritual awareness. Otherwise, it'll drain a lot of your physical energy. Also, since you can see these things, if they find out you can see and hear them, it'll cause you a lot of trouble. There are lots of shamanism ritual tools. You can follow your intuition and try making them yourself. Borrow Hujin's mana, or the mountain god's mana to refine them, and they'll have special effects. I told him about the common ritual tools. They're mostly a mix of Wu rituals that are very suitable for spirit mediums. For example, when you get back, you can carve a wooden mask of the mountain god and a wooden mask of the fox immortal. Paint them with colors and they can replace possession. They can possess the masks and still have their full power. At the same time, you'll have more freedom over your own mind. Divine bones can scare off spiritual entities. You can also prepare one made of wild animal bones. Just then, Hujin's spirit came out of the god register and returned to his body. A green-faced, sharp-toothed, beast-faced, Cheetah holding a big sword followed right behind him. It looked fierce and malicious, staring at everyone present. Not bad. Your mountain patrolling demon has pretty good power. He's good at mountain searching skills, chasing away wild animals, finding medicinal spirits, setting up illusions, and can even capture human souls. Now that we've subdued the mountain god of this mountain, we can use the evil energy of this mountain as we please. We have a base now for summoning, deploying, and retracting spirit soldiers. Your cultivation level isn't high. You can probably refine a team of 12 spirit soldiers to keep by your side. But the mountain god can help command around 50 to 60 of them. We just don't know if the evil energy of this mountain. Can we refine so many long weapons? Next, you use the long weapon jar for refining, to store malevolent auras. Place it in front of the altar for worship. Every 1st and 15th day of the lunar month, you just drop a drop of blood into the jar as an offering. I walked Hujin through all key points of refining ghost soldiers. Gathering evil aura to refine ghost soldiers is one type. You can also capture defeated generals and dead soldiers from ancient battlefields to train. This type is more like yin soldiers, but Hujin doesn't have the ability to subdue defeated generals and dead soldiers anyway. If they refine the ghost soldiers, it's the same as I refining them myself. It saves me a lot of work. I've got nothing better to do anyway. After finishing the ghost soldier refining part, I carefully explained the precepts to Liu Kong Kong. First precept, no indiscriminate killing. That includes these lonely wandering ghosts. They already have a miserable enough life. If you bully them and test your spells on them, that's straight up bullying the weak. Second precept, don't misuse your skills. You absolutely must not randomly accept offerings from poor families. You can only earn money from rich people. It actually follows the same principle as the first precept. Third precept, don't duel with others to show off your power. Once you have magic powers, you will easily want to show off, and your emotions will be amplified greatly at the same time. You'll easily get annoyed at this person, and get annoyed at that person. Then evil thoughts will pop up in your mind. After that, you will lose your bottom line. That's what we call the demonic obstacle. As the saying goes, the deeper you master your cultivation skills, the bigger the tests you will face. If you can't stick to your original conscience, you will go down the wrong path. If you break any of these 3 precepts, you don't even need me to take your powers back. You will easily bring disaster on yourself, and you will hardly get a good ending. I'm passing these 3 precepts to you today. If you violate any of them, this Dharma Protector Palm will give you a warning and correct your thoughts. You must keep this firmly in mind. I said the same thing to Hu Jin and other little foxes too. You must never do evil. Cultivation is already hard enough for you. Cultivating merit and virtue is the only way to achieve true cultivation results faster. Before this, I always prioritized improving their power first, so I never taught them these rules. Now that we've solved the original body and soul issue, things are a lot more relaxed, so I came to give them this makeup lesson. After I finished talking, I closed my eyes to rest and enter hibernation mode, to recover the spiritual power I just consumed. The next morning, when the sun rose, I yawned and went back to the Lee family mansion. I didn't travel outside at night this time. I had been away all night, so everyone in the Lee mansion was already worried sick. I went out with Liu Kong Kong and didn't come back all night. They said we went to the new mansion, but when they sent someone to ask, the 2 of us never went back there yesterday at all. The Liu family even thought Liu Kong Kong stayed over at the Shu family for the night. After I got back to the mansion, Father and Mother Lee originally wanted to scold me for staying out all night. But when they saw how tired I looked, they didn't have the heart to do that. They just waited for me to explain it myself. After I got home, first I put the New Year's money that seals the original body and soul under the Bodhisattva statue in the Buddhist hall. Then I went to wash up. After washing up, I drank meat porridge and mutton soup and held a ginseng slice in my mouth. Only then did I lie down on the bed to rest and hibernate. I slept until noon. Xiao Hong came to wake me up. Young master, it's time for dinner. Ever since last time she gave me a tip that helped me get through the disaster, she's kind of worshipped me. She thinks I can do anything, and that I can predict future events. I woke up from my resting state. I didn't come back to the mansion last night. Did anything happen? Madam and Master stayed up half the night. They sent people to the new mansion to look for you. I nodded, feeling a bit of a headache. I got it. I drank another bowl of mutton soup in my room, and my body got a lot warmer. I saw the sun was out outside, so I got up to sun my back. To drive out the cold, I lay on the chair for half the day, squinting my eyes. The bitter cold taste of ginseng slices spread out wave after wave. There was a knock on the door outside. Knock, knock, knock! The gatekeeper opened the small side door, and it was a little Taoist priest. He looked like he hated the whole world, as if everyone owed him money. He didn't have a good temper at all. I saw he was holding a letter. This is an invitation from my master for Master Lee of the Lee Mansion. I immediately sensed something was wrong and stood up right away, walking towards him. Who is your master? When the little Taoist saw me walking towards him, he looked a bit scared, stepped back a few steps, and stayed silent. But his eyes were fixed firmly on Li Fu. Walked out of the auditorium, took the letter note in a fluster. Go tell your master. Tell him I've accepted the letter note. I turned around and stared at Li Fu, raising my voice. Who is this Taoist? Can I take a look at this letter? Li Fu said. He's a friend of mine. I used to stay at the Taoist temple for quiet when I studied, and became friends with him. Why do you want to read this letter? I cut Li Fu off, my voice a little cold. Is he the Taoist that wanted me buried in the mass grave after I died? Why are you bringing this up? Don't mention such unlucky things. Mother Lee stepped in to smooth things over. I didn't press on. After all, asking more would seem like an interrogation, but I already had the answer in my heart. What did that Taoist mean by sending the letter in broad daylight? Was he deliberately provoking me? What's more, Li Fu is still in contact with him. It looks like Li Fu asked him first. And this is the reply he sent back. That means after I came back, Father Li has been in contact with that Taoist. I turned around and ignored the little Taoist. Mom, Dad, I always hope you two are on my side. To put it bluntly, I've died once. My death was really fishy. I was plotted against back then. It was very likely a deliberate setup. Now that I finally came back to life, I just want to find out the truth. I respect you both very much, but I hope you won't be fooled by outsiders. Otherwise, I'll endure a light beating, but I'll run away if you hit me hard. If you think I'm an evil monster, I'll just leave on my own. If you just have doubts, you can ask me directly anytime. Li Fu was embarrassed for a moment. The hand holding the letter hung awkwardly in midair. Just then the little Taoist spoke up. You evil demon? How dare you trick these people? You've taken over someone else's body, and you're trying to cover it up. I glanced at him, then looked at Father Li and Mother Li. They didn't dare to meet my eyes. I fell silent for a moment. I didn't confront the two of them, and only shouted at the little Taoist. Where is your master? Tell him to come face me himself if he dares. He sent evil spirits to harm people these past 2 days. How cowardly to act behind people's backs. Now that his evil plan failed, he's sowing discord between us. What a vicious mind. I'm not going to argue with you. Go tell your master. The carving evil spirit and the yin earth evil spirit have already been captured by me. Tell him to come find me himself if he has the guts. Even if he doesn't come to look for me, I'll go find him myself. And settle all the scores with him. The little Taoist was about to start swearing, but was stopped by the look in my eyes. His words stuck in his throat. Get lost. I flicked my sleeve as I shouted, drawing on the faint power I had just cultivated, plus the remaining power from taming the mountain god yesterday. Scared the little Taoist so much he fell right on his butt and scrambled away as fast as he could. Watching the little Taoist's embarrassed, retreating figure, I turned back to look at my parents, my expression calm. Mom, Dad, what's written in the letter? Father Li sighed, and finally opened the envelope.